This male lead is truly lucky. He unexpectedly accidentally received a powerful system after getting into a car accident. Right after that, Duong Lin immediately took advantage of it to sweep the antique market, using her clairvoyant vision to go to stone strengthening festivals, also known as stone pouring. Not only that, he could also argue in English with the teacher, shocking the teacher and everyone. In addition, he continuously broke the world speed running record. At Shenyang Street in Guangzhou City, there are many souvenirs sold on this street, including normal quality jade guanyin. Its pricing ensures value, handmade, post-production repair. The space upgrade effect is not large, 4,280 yuan. When he saw it, the teenager picked it up and asked the seller, "Sir, how much would this sell for?" He seemed drunk and replied. He immediately lowered the price to 500. "Would you sell it?" But he immediately replied that it was not at least 1,000. He immediately agreed. After he left, the boss was happy because he only brought in 50 yuan. The seller next to him said you were still very young. He quickly ran out of that area. His haste surprised others. After getting out he happily shouted, "Yeah, I earned it." Then he said this level was too easy. But when he touched his pocket again, he panicked. He searched and searched but still couldn't find the jade. So he shouted to God, "Don't joke with me like that. This is not scientific." But then he suddenly remembered that he put it in his left pocket. He trembled and said he was scared to death and urinated. Then he called out the system and took the jade pendant aside. The system is started. It says, "Hello host, welcome back to Triton City." The system invites you to select the category you want to use. He looked at the screen and selected the warehouse to check first. In his warehouse were jade gourds worth 2,500 yuan, jade bracelets worth 1,000 yuan, unfinished Dragon King jade worth 700 yuan, and bronze incense sticks worth 700 yuan. Looking at the screen, he thought that he was sold out because he needed money. The system displayed a confirmation board saying yes or no. He did not hesitate to press the yes button. He was surprised to see something suddenly crawling inside his zipper. On the screen, a completed task appears, describing the task as time being money. My friend who did the small task received 1,000 yuan. Progress 10,000 parts 10,000. Achievement unlocked 10,000 yuan. He was happy and satisfied with 1,000 yuan more than when he worked for Uncle Hai. Then the system displays a prompt with a few unassigned skill points, inviting you to select character attributes. The character attribute table appears. It summarizes his abilities. His name is Duong Nin, age 18, male. Waist title, strength 49, skill 46, speed 51, energy 48, stamina 41. Rank E. He was angry when he saw the title of trash. Then the system displays a reminder about an unallocated skill point. It explains the higher the energy index, the longer the body's activity time. The higher the body's index, the higher the ability to resist attacks and the higher the speed of immunity. The body's aging is reduced to a fixed level that will qualify for a second sexual development. After reading it, he decided to add skill points to the body section. His body immediately showed strange signs happening. There was a flow of strength surrounding his whole body, making him feel comfortable. It turns out that this is exactly what it feels like when you add points to a body. You feel like your body has become a little stronger. But he suddenly remembered the title of trash. He read the system board again carefully. It explains that waste is a person who has nothing like a host and lives as if living is redundant, which is even more a sad story. He felt it loved others too much, so he immediately changed it to another one. He changed himself into the title of 10,000 yuan. Then the system panel appears to continue receiving the mission. He clicked on the main mission, First Dung Kim. The mission description is to find and exploit one's first life purpose to become a rich and handsome person as a CEO and embark on the pinnacle of life. Current progress is 0.500,000. The reward is ability plus 5. The current host has earned 10,000 yuan, which can be exchanged for any attribute point. I'm glad to see that I can change the location of the attribute. This is the key point. Then he happily told himself that the more attribute points he earned, the more he added them to his body attributes like just now, it would be too comfortable. Okay, I'm excited. first I want to make money. He walked around on the street and looked at the items, all showing their value. A single shared bicycle costs 700 yuan. A cell phone 1,200 yuan. A Japanese minicar 199 yuan. He thought about making money. Those modern items were not a good choice. They were too common and the jewelry in shopping malls were not priced and the real value was too different. I think it's still the best antique. Then he went to the antique street and decided to start getting rich from here. But it's not easy to pick up good items. There are so many stores. It would take hours to check even though there is a support system. Suddenly the system appeared, startling him. It announces the first goal: I want to make money. He thought to himself that he threatened to die, but luckily the system only existed in his brain and no one saw it. The system announces the side mission Wan Yan Tin Tin, describing the mission that there is a quality item near the host. Don't doubt anything, buy it. Progress 0/1. Eye appraisal reward. After reading, where did you look around for quality items? He approached an old man's stall. The old man enthusiastically asked this guy to pay attention to this wooden statue. It was made by a great sculptor. Then he observed and thought to himself that there were really good things in this stall because when he looked at them, they all appeared normal. But when he picks up an item, 2 words quality appear. He looked surprised at the ring in his hand. The system informed that the ring was made of wax with a dense density of amber. The inside is engraved with Li Ngu Du Duok Long ink. This is an ink crafted by Du Vong Fu. It was specially crafted for use by Boi Lak, Cash, royal relatives and royal family members. Beeswax has been obtained from Wu Ren Tong for more than 200 years and has a certain high estimated total value of 383,400. After reading it, he was surprised at the value of that item, 348,000. In an instant, he was determined to buy it, but seeing the old man's hesitant expression, he asked if this kid had a stomachache. He trembled as he put the ring down, thinking to himself that he should calm down and not let others see that he really needed it. He happily turned around and started talking to the old man, asking him where he came from and what kind of bones he had. This is the secret of bargaining. The old man immediately replied that calling him Chu Lao was fine. Coming from a small river, Liujia likes that wooden statue, so I got it for 50 yuan cheap. His entire body stiffened, displaying the 3 words poor monkey. The old man saw that and immediately gave him a discount. Otherwise, 30 yuan would be worth the same skill. He thought and negotiated with the old man. He held up a statue and said, "Hey old man, give me the price so I can take this entire stall." What he said surprised him. After that, he also whispered to his younger brother that it was okay to give him the whole store. If you want to learn from other people collecting antiques, it's not reasonable. He was surprised by his words. He thought to himself that this old man was also honest, but on the contrary, he felt a little embarrassed. But he also said, "It's okay, Chu Lao, I want to learn how to sell and want to use this shop of yours to practice, so please give me a price." Afterwards, Chu Lao gave him a price of 2,000. He asked if he could accept it and he happily agreed. He gave him a thick wad of money and asked him if this was enough. Seeing too many, he immediately shook his hand and said too much. But he still put it in the old man's hand and told him to take it. He happily held an item while saying that he felt that this store was not bad. He told Chu Lao, "I want to come here to buy things often." The old man immediately replied that he knew. Then he also said that if there were any good things left in the village, he would bring them all to me and I would buy them all. After that, the old man left, so if you have anything to do, just call me. After the old man left, his whole body trembled and he was happy to get the ring. This system board appears with the side quest completed. The reward you usually receive is the eye assessment. The receiving host can scan surrounding items and judge that the 5 meters scanning distance value can be increased. His whole body was promoted. His eyes were bright. After opening his eyes, he saw that his previous vision could only reach 27.0 p at most, but now everything was clear in his eyes. From afar he could see a girl wearing a good quality gold bracelet rated 3,900 and an uncle wearing a normal quality copper bracelet rated 25. Right now he felt that his eyesight was absolutely 108.0 p great sharpness. He happily shouted that the goods were good and worth the money when a cry rang out. He turned around and saw two girls calling him behind him. The white-haired girl immediately wondered why she didn't show the slightest bit of courtesy. When he saw two beautiful girls, he was like a drooling puppy, his eyes lit up. He secretly thought that Wow was the queen and little lowly. How did such a beauty appear here? But then he calmed himself down and said no. Calm down, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Next, he acted cool in front of the two girls and asked the little girl if her little sister was looking for him. The white-haired girl heard that and immediately got angry and said I was about to enter middle school and I was already small. His face cunningly said that everywhere was small. The white-haired girl angrily shouted that she was a fraud. Then she turned around and told her sister that he was bullying her. The older sister just gently told the younger sister not to worry. Then the older sister held out her hand and asked him to give it here. He was surprised and didn't know what she asked him to give him. She told him to give me what he was holding in his hand. Hearing that, he immediately asked her if she wanted it, but she said she just wanted to see it. Then he pretended to be a beauty and said if you want to see it. You don't say how I know what you want to see. Even though you look at me with sincerity you still have to tell me that you want to see. Do you really want to see it? Then get it. You don't really want to see it. Do you really want to see it? Watching and listening to him pretend, her face darkened, but she happily giggled. After that, he was afraid that she would be angry, so he said he was just joking and immediately showed her the ring. The two sisters looked intently at the ring. Seeing that, he immediately said to look closely, since he couldn't give it to her anyway. She immediately said I had finished watching it, and her younger sister scolded him for being a wolf. Hearing her say that, he immediately approached the girl and asked her if she knew what the wolf would do. The look on his face scared her. Then he continued to make a serious face and said, "Girl, believe it or not, I will take you home so you can drink tea every day, bathe and cook." After hearing this, my sister was afraid and burst into tears, calling her mother, "The wolf is coming." The older sister whispered and thought that after he took the ring back, she put it in her pocket to make sure there was a secret inside this ring. Then she immediately called him back and wanted to buy this ring back. Dwang Min said she wanted to buy it so I could think about it. Manhwa thought the higher the price, he would sell it to her, but after a while of negotiation. From 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 80,000 Dwang Min still replied not to sell up to 100,000, but Dwang Min still did not agree to sell. Manhwa was angry and said you still refuse to sell 100,000. You're not an idiot. Dwang Min replied, do you know the origin of this ring? Manhwa shyly blurted out the word, I, trembling. At the same time, Manhwa's younger sister ran over with Luke Ba and shouted loudly pointing at Dwang Min that this Sak Lang was bullying her. Manhwa was surprised to see Luke Ba. She approached Luke Ba and asked to see the ring. Luke Ba asked Manhwa when you came to Nam from High without informing me. Luke Ba continued to say that a few days ago, when he heard that you were coming here, your aunt really wanted to meet you. The two little girls shouted yes, we will visit auntie later. At the same time, Dwang Min thought they didn't see him. Luke Ba finished looking at the ring and suddenly said Manhwa. Everyone in the distance was also talking about the ring and Luke Ba's expression first. What is that? Luke Ba's expression changed. Manhwa was surprised and said that Ba was telling the truth, but Luke Ba continued to say that the highest price for this ring was 150,000. Manhwa said loudly and offered 180,000. More and more people came and talked about the ring. Someone said I saw this ring a while ago and it only cost 20 dong over there. Many people continued to say nothing. This ring costs 180,000. If I had that amount of money, I could go back to my hometown and buy land to get married, and then someone would say, hey, I only have money left in my pocket. Can you sell it to me if you have 500? And many others say, are these too stupid? 180,000 is 180,000. Manhwa spoke up when Dwang Min was still silent. 180,000 but still not satisfied, don't be too greedy. Luke Ba continued, young man, maybe you are too. Manhwa bid 200,000 and said I really like this ring and I also want to let you know what is reasonable. Everyone around me was amazed and said that I had bought it just now, but someone said that if I had this amount of money to pay back, I could buy a music system and have fun. Dwang Min replied that she came here to buy things or to give orders. Manhwa suddenly said, "What do you mean?" Dwang Min continued to say that you guys are bullying me. Luke Ba and Manhwa looked at each other silently. Luke Ba spoke up. Luke Kwok Huan, I'm quite famous in this city of Namhai. There are very few people here who don't know how I used my ability to bully a boy like you. Dwang Min teased and said that he knew the origin of this thing. Ba angrily said, "Young man, you'd better show me enough proof, otherwise you'll regret it. No one has dared to tease you for many years." Manhwa, I advise him to stop Luke Ba so that he can provide us with information about this ring. Okay, then listen to me. This ring is made from wax of deep-sea amber and inside is engraved fish and dragons symbolizing the glory of the sky. However, the whole face can be engraved inside and outside like this. I'm afraid this ring was crafted by a descendant of Luke Ba's palace. When he mentioned the name of a descendant of Dwang Min's palace, he continued, this dragon was not a member of the royal family. Any ordinary person who dares to use it, in my opinion, this ring will definitely make people in the royal family use it. Manhwa looked at him with sharp eyes and said 1 million. 1 million. Everyone shouted so loudly that even Dwang Min was surprised and thought that 1 million is very good, girl. I respect you like a man. Dwang Min spoke up. Are you sure? Manhwa answered clearly and was sure. Dwang Min happily said it was because his younger sister standing next to him said he was impudent. Manhwa continued to say that 1 million is not just to buy this ring. You have to promise me one thing. Dwang Min agreed and said it was okay if it wasn't beyond my limits, but if you wanted me to marry you, I could consider it. The younger sister got angry and said she would marry his younger sister. Dwang Min jokingly replied, do you want to go home and have some children for me? Manhwa gave the bank card to Dwang Min and said there was 1 million in the card. The password was, I'll get the ring first. Meet me at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Don't be late. After speaking, she left with Luke Ba and her sister. Dwang Min looked down at the card in his hand and shouted 1 million. As soon as he finished speaking, the system announced the main mission to Nyat Dung Kim, describing the mission of finding and exploiting his first life purpose to become a rich and handsome man. As a CEO, embarking on the pinnacle of life. Current progress 500,000 complete energy mission reward 5+ mission evaluation. Dwang Min shouted loudly. The system appears on the screen. Check your skill points. 63 attribute points. Dwang Min thinks. Wait, 63 is not 100, so you don't have to earn 10,000 to get attribute points. The system screen again displays the text. To achieve a comprehensive C-level rating, you need to earn 100,000 asset points to get a flawless rating. To achieve a comprehensive rating at level B, you need to earn 100,000 asset points to get a perfect rating. To achieve a comprehensive rating at level A, you need to earn 1 million asset points to get perfect review. To achieve a comprehensive rating at level 5, you need to earn 10 million property points to get a perfect rating. The property to be saved was rated as perfect. Go to Dwang Min to explain the average attribute set. 60 is C rank, 70 is B, 80 is A, 90 is S, but for rank and S rank the maximum value is 99. Now my attribute score is 241 points. Average is 48. Rank E when placing 300 points. Average is 60. Rank C when wanting to pass the ward police. So now it takes 100,000 to be able to pass the rank. Dwang Min thought this time I earned 100,590,000 before I could get 59 points, leaving 410,000, but because of the attribute points placed 300, rank C according to the only rule can receive 4 attribute points. Dwang Min said it was 63 points but still felt bad. Suddenly, the system screen popped up to notify him that there was a new mission. The Millionaire main quest depicts the quest of this materialistic age where people can only live in reality. Money is not omnipotent, but without money you cannot do anything. Current progress 0.1 millionths rewards millionaire title. Dwang Min shouted loudly, I have to earn another million now. This is not important. What I need to do now is that I should add these points to my body right now. I don't know if 63 points is enough to become a Superman. Dwangmin clicked on all and then waited for the upgrade. Dwangmin understood and oh so it was so simple, just find a hotel to get on Dwangmin's bus. I started thinking that this was the second time I had a lot of money, so I found the most luxurious hotel here. The taxi took me to a luxury hotel and the staff loudly said hello to the guests. Dwangmin just got out of the car and said wow this place is really big. The staff saw Dwangmin and muttered indignantly, it turned out he was a poor guy. When she saw him, the waitress who was cleaning the windows turned around, greeted him warmly and invited him in. He happily thanked her, but the gatekeeper asked him if he had any money. His expression was uncomfortable. He smirked and asked again, so what he meant was that if he didn't have money, he wouldn't be able to come, right? Then he said it's not like I don't have my own car. He held a stack of money and said that he had just earned a few pennies so he didn't have time to buy a few Ferraris or Lycans. Then he said that using the post-cultivation point to penetrate into the form of a mandarin was at least a first-class person. Then he threw a stack of money at him and told him to take some money and roll away. He went to the waitress from before and gave her a wad of money. She immediately refused because the amount of money was too large for her to receive. He asked, isn't it a rule in big hotels to give tips to employees? When he said that, she hesitated, but he understood what she meant, so he said it was okay because she welcomed him, so the amount was in accordance with regulations. He immediately told her to put the money away. It might be too big for her but it was his thanks to her. He said when he got out of the taxi everyone looked down on him but she was the opposite so he thanked her very much. Hearing him say that made the other waiters bewildered. He complimented her in this society because she was one of the remaining beautiful spots, so he hoped she would take care not to be tainted by the filth around her. At this time, the manager hurriedly ran out from inside to apologize to him. He said he would clearly report today's events to his superiors. Then he generously took the most expensive room in the hotel. They were most surprised by the living room because the most expensive room here costs 20,000 per night. Seeing them like that, he pressed some money onto the manager and urged them to quickly prepare the room. The remaining balance was his. When he turned to leave, the waitress blushed shyly and thanked him. Entering the room after showering, he turned on his phone and saw the news articles. He thought about what to do. This is not an important thing. The most important thing now is to start the body level. Having said that, a wave of strength surrounded his body, making his body feel comfortable. He felt that the soul was so soft that it was like candy. As for the immortal soul, its body is crunchy and can be eaten like a snack. Suddenly this power was thrust into his body so fast that it caused him pain. The next morning he woke up to find that his body smelled. He immediately went to take a shower and get clean. Then when he looked in the mirror, he saw that his body was even more perfect. He guessed he was about 1.87 meters tall. His face also had a more refined look. He narcissistically said that if he were a girl, he would definitely love the current me. Suddenly he remembered the two beautiful women who came to pick him up yesterday. They're waiting for you downstairs at the hotel. He immediately thought that today he would let the girls admire his new appearance. When he went down to the main hall, the waitresses warmly greeted him. He walked out and saw two girls coming to pick him up today. His appearance is luxurious and bright. Manhwa and her sister were amazed by his appearance. Seeing them like that, he said he didn't understand. It's like 3 autumns passed in the blink of an eye. Don't say I'm too talkative to match Dai Sak Lang's style. As for Manhwa, he thought it was an illusion, but he kept feeling that he was taller than yesterday. She told the two of them to stop causing trouble and get in the car. After getting in my car, I asked why I had to carry it with you. Because from the moment he got in the car until now, he's only been sleeping and ignoring us. The younger sister felt he forced her to be the driver. The older sister said not to worry about him. Even though he was sleeping, his hearing was still active. He is researching the system to see if there are any good opportunities for further development. You look for items, for example when you go to a store and look at an item to know its value. He saw the scroll of cultivation and all kinds of medicinal cards to nourish the beautiful white face. They are all useful products but must be purchased with points. But he himself only has 20 points left. Suddenly she braked suddenly. In his mind it was all over, even though his ability to resist attacks as strong as his current ability was not enough to resist this. He woke up and asked her what was wrong. She immediately said someone was blocking her way. Around 3 to 4 cars were surrounding their car. She turned to him and told him and her brother to run away because their target was her. My sister heard that and did not agree. Outside, 3 to 4 gangsters approached. A few gangsters came and told her to get out of the car. Seeing that, she immediately intended to get out of the car to distract them, but when the opportunity came, he took her brother away. He wanted to stop her but there was no time left. She got out of the car and asked who sent them there. She was willing to pay a price 10 times higher for them to let her go. When they heard that, they laughed and said they had money. But the leader said it was a pity that the tiger fell in love with beauty. That person is Ms. Jiang's son and it cannot be changed. Her brother and sister also got out of the car. Seeing them like that, she secretly wondered what the two of them had done before they could escape quickly. The leader looked at her petite, pretty little girl who had diuretic taste. Hearing him say that, the leader immediately said that naturally there is a son who wants to be a hero to save America. He told me to go away and not let him see me again. But he shook his head and refused. Seeing that, he said, "This guy, didn't you hear what I said?" They were angry. Seeing that, the younger sister immediately asked him if he was afraid. He immediately replied that he was afraid. Then the younger sister asked him what he was doing. He only spoke in Chinese. His mind was frantically searching. He finally found it. It requires 20 points to increase strength by 30 points for 3 minutes. His whole body was surrounded by that power. Seeing that, the leader was upset and said, "If you crow loudly, I will let you die right here." After saying that, he picked up a baseball bat and hit him on the body. Her 2 sisters were frightened by this scene. She shouted to stop. They smiled wickedly and said they should break his bones first. But they suddenly stopped. He asked if they wanted to break his bones. Then he rushed up and punched the leader in the face and sent him flying 10 meters away. Seeing this, his juniors immediately shouted that this was not something ordinary people could do. They were so scared that they were sweating and called him boss and asked him to sit down and talk calmly. "But do you agree?" He said he had nothing to say to them. Having said that, he thought he only had 3 minutes, so he quickly rushed up to take them down. He solved them all. Her sisters were amazed at his strength. They were lying on the ground begging him not to kill them. He slowly sat down and asked them who sent them. At the same time, he also threatened that if he did not speak, his third leg would not be complete. That guy immediately shouted that Lao Sao was the one who sent them the information and told them to stop his car. When my sister heard that, she got angry and said he was talking nonsense. He wondered and turned around. But the female lead only said she needed to leave first. Hearing that, before leaving, he kicked his leg. Made him scream. "You said you disabled one of his legs. Don't let me see him again." In the car, he thought he had used up all 20 points and needed to think of another way to earn points, which was really useful. He found that in addition to the rewards received from specific missions, the only way to make money was to sell items to the 10,000 piece system for 10 points. It does not evaluate like that. For example, if a finger sold to the system received 38,000 yuan, but sold to Lam Manhuyan, he received 100,000. After that, he thought that since he had money, he had to enjoy life, but it was better to use money to exchange points. It can help you escape danger in times of need. While he was thinking, the car arrived at a luxurious villa. She let him in and asked him to rest a bit while she went to get his things. He immediately asked her if she didn't have a nanny or a maid. How did the two of them cook? The younger sister immediately told the 2 cousins to cook together. Hearing that, he immediately quipped that she would cook. The younger sister said uncomfortably, "Of course, she often helps her sister cook and wash dishes." He immediately teased her that if the person cooking tonight was his brother, he would eat a full meal. The younger sister blushed and said, "I would cook more tonight." Seeing that, he said he was afraid that 3 pots of rice wouldn't be enough for him to eat. The younger sister stood angrily and asked if he was a pig. Another beautiful girl called her sister Dong Dong. She asked who this guy was. When he saw the beautiful girl, His eyes lit up. Her red face lit up like a peerless beauty. Dong Dong immediately told Phi Nhi that he was Dai Sak Lang. Hearing that, he told her not to ruin his reputation. Phi Nhi happily extended her hand to introduce herself to him. Holding the beauty's hand made him tremble and hesitantly introduce himself as Duong Nin. She asked where the female lead was. Seeing her beauty, he thought this beauty was very attractive. Awesome, you look so beautiful. Phi Nhi smiled gently and captivated countless people. The sweet little devil she loved and loved. The atmosphere was a bit off. Someone spoke up to remind her, and she even deliberately asked one more question to ensure the relationship between sisters was broken. Tuoica, are you or your sister your ideal model? The guy answered without thinking. Phi Nhi has a great figure. Very beautiful. The combination of flowing dark brown hair, white skin combined with long legs makes her even more beautiful. While in the throes of ecstasy, a voice suddenly rang out from behind, containing more anger than sweetness. Another development. Luckily Duong Min was with me. If I wasn't afraid I would have fallen into their hands. But seriously, Manhwa, do you think it was Vong Heen's doing? He broke up with me and even made it public. But Manhwa shook his head firmly. It's not him, he's incapable of communication. For Lu Ho, it was also not Bui Vin Heen's character to determine that the suspect did not stop there. This time the arrow pointed to Trin Nok Kang. In her own eyes, her eyes clearly showed confusion and bewilderment. Sao Fuck was my driver since childhood. I considered him a relative. But lately he's been very strange. Today he said he had urgent work at home so he didn't take me to Hua Hai Manhwa. After he opened his eyes, he saw a beautiful beauty. Not only one person but two members of Manhwa's family showed dissatisfied faces. The words were a bit angry. If you like, just take him away. He was afraid to blush when he was so intimately approached. Of course, she didn't expect that a bullet-shaped gaze would immediately fly straight towards him. So scary that he didn't even need to look at it. It's true that women are often jealous and stupid. Seeing the happy atmosphere, Phi Nhi asked little brother if she had received any reward. Seeing this as an opportunity to put out the fire, he immediately said that he still thinks his wife is the best. Who would have expected to hear this sentence? Manhwa left without saying a word. She felt very happy when she was complimented, but it's a pity that she doesn't like guys younger than her. That's his dream. Officially broken, as if experiencing the first shock of his life, he complained that Phi Nhi was crazy about teasing men. At the dining table, he continuously picked up food, eating it and complimenting it on how delicious it was. Seeing him eating like that, Dong Dong said he was a glutton, so Phi Nhi invited her fellow to wash the dishes. The female lead asked him what she said to her sister just now. Did you hear clearly? He immediately asked if he had to participate in antique appraisal. She said no, then listed his competitors, including Lam Jia, which was controlled by Tam Jia, the auction house that was their important source of income. Having a large number of competitors, Lam Jia stands out from its competitors in antique appraisal. The Ancient Inspection Camp is coordinated by dozens of organizations including the Ancient Association, the Jade Association, and the Three Products Association. No one questioned their authority. When you have a position in the ancient farm, the absolute value doubles. If you are part of a large company or a certain clan is in the rankings, they will also receive an increase. The reason why big companies can stand firm is because their spread is like a blockbuster movie. After explaining, she asked him if he understood that it was all because of Jia Company Dai Camp. He just slowly ate and asked if he won the championship, would she get any reward? She said it was good that he was confident of winning the championship, but there was one thing. Then he asked her if she would dare bet with him. She asked what bet. He cunningly said if he won first place she would be his wife. Okay. His words made her face turn red. Hearing that, she immediately said he didn't even take the college entrance exam. He said that if he kidnapped a child to return home, he would have to take care of that family. He would be greatly criticized. But if he spent 6 or 7 years trying, that year the child would create a miracle. If that child were her, she would definitely be old soon. The 25-year-old woman lost 50% as the years pass, her value becomes less. But her sister and she are not the same. She needs to put in at least 10 years of effort to develop and utilize the space well. Hearing him say that, she got angry and broke the table. She shouted loudly to Duong Nin. She angrily chased after him, telling him not to run away from the bastard. He thought he was doomed, so why did he meet Diem Quan so early? Phi Nhi and Dong Dong stood far away chatting. Phi Nhi said the Ha Dong lion was crazy. My sister and I missed out on the exciting soap opera. Dong Dong immediately said that Dai Sak Lang must have done something shameless that made her sister very embarrassed. Dong Dong's expression turned sour. She asked Phi Nhi if her sister and Dai Sak Lang had kissed and asked if she should support them or split. Phi Nhi asked who was the untrustworthy person. Does Dong Dong want to be kissed? At the building he walked behind the female lead and his nose bled when he saw her beauty. Seeing him like that, she shyly asked him to go first. Then he pretended that the two of them did not know each other. Hearing that, she got angry and was not used to it, so go away. He said in panic. He whispered that her thighs looked delicious but they were so cute. Passing by the reception desk, the receptionist politely greeted her with Alam General. Entering the room, an old man asked if she was okay and what happened. A guy approached her and introduced himself as Chu Hoc Bin and asked if she still remembered him. He then continued to say that before returning to China, his father invited everyone to the restaurant to eat seafood. At that time, she and he clinked glasses together and asked if she remembered. She just remained silent and didn't say anything. He shyly turned around and put his arm around her, saying that she and he had something in common. I think he intended to take the opportunity to flirt with Manhuyan. Everyone knows that he thinks he is a vile ant. He friendly asked if he was her bodyguard and complimented him on his muscular body. Hearing that, his face looked a bit angry, but he still proudly said that although he was young, his body was strong and his will strong. Because customized demands are getting higher and higher, only worthy women can enjoy their youth. The atmosphere between everyone was tense. Hearing that, he suddenly asked the swan for real, and the old man who wrote later also sprayed water in panic. She was angry, causing him to quickly reconcile, saying he was just joking. Then he seriously said that if he talked to her in the future, he didn't care, but if she heard it, what would she think? Hearing him say that, he trembled with fear, feeling like he would get into trouble. Jo Hoc Bin blushed and said it wasn't him who said he was deliberately causing misunderstandings. He immediately pretended he didn't do anything to make him angry. He gently said that he had such good qualities that if a woman was in danger, he would definitely be the first person they would come to. He turned around and asked him which sentence he was referring to about his white job. He was so angry when he heard that. Seeing the two of them like that, she just chuckled. Everyone around burst into laughter. He then told her to go outside and answer the phone. She approached to greet Man Za. He asked for the ring on her hand. He wondered where the ring on her hand came from. She said she bought it from England. She then continued to say that she bought the ring for 1 million and he bought an entire street vendor's stall for 10,000. Accidentally there was a ring in there. Hearing that, other people discussed why they bought 10,000 yuan but dared to sell 1 million yuan. Zhou Zubin thought about how he had such good luck. Elder man picked up the ring and examined it, then said that this ring was worth millions of yuan if it was auctioned for a large profit. The value would not be small. He was surprised that just by doing propaganda, he could earn 100,000 yuan. Unbelievable. I think I have to find another one spectrum enlightenment system. People are so stupid that they are willing to spend millions of yuan to buy something over 300,000 yuan. Even though it's priced like that, he said it's absolutely best not to sell it and keep it. She immediately told Man Lao that she came today because she wanted to introduce him. Hearing that, Elder Man understood what she meant. He asked her if she wanted him to join Dai Tri's ancient supervisor, right? In the name of our company, some people are talking about Lam planning to abandon Dai Tri's rhythm? Jak Ko Dai Tri is not a place for children to play, so Mr. Man must consider it. He spent his entire life as a supervisor to gain a foothold in the industry. But what has this guy accomplished? Seeing everyone say that, Chu Hoc Bin arrogantly said that the bodyguard was old-fashioned at a young age. Now even the ancient knock key can be played. He said that being a bodyguard requires at least some knowledge and equipment. If you don't have a diamond, you have to take the energy to answer and avoid the big-headed and short-brain type. When looking at the items on the map, the male protagonist was surprised. He noticed an item that was the blood product Van Fuck Tan Hu. It's a collectible made of lake blood. There are white lines and flat calluses on the body. The body of the jar is embossed with painted pine, painted stone and lingsy. The other side is carved with patterned walls and plaques. The shoulders are embossed with a perfect ring of beasts. The body of the jar is also decorated with herbs and spices and is attached to a refined ivory. The system values it at 77,800 yuan. He thought to himself that although he already knew the uses of longan leaves, the theoretical effect and actual use were a completely different story. If the system is a radar to search and determine location, then the eye probe is a missile to track and support the target to support the attack on the target. After thinking about it, he felt that today was wonderful. Then old man looked at his brother and asked if he liked these jars. If he liked them, he would give them to him. Hearing that, he immediately said that these jars seemed to be well taken care of. Perhaps Manlao really liked these bottles, but if Manlao was willing, he would like to accept the red bottle. He was surprised. He thought perhaps he knew that this vase was the most valuable object, but it was impossible because it took him a long time to complete the appraisal of this vase. Then he sweatily said this bottle seemed a bit dirty, or did he choose something else? Hearing that, he said, "Should I not take this bottle?" He immediately got angry and said, "I didn't mean it like that." Not understanding the situation between the two of them, she asked him what he meant. He replied, "Man Lao said the jar was dirty, I just wanted to help clean it." He asked him if that was so. So she said he just wanted to give him a gift and told him not to compare with him. Then he reached out to take that red bottle and thanked elder man. Tears fell down his face as if he realized something was wrong, and she immediately stopped him. Seeing her like that, he immediately asked what was wrong. She told him to give her the jar because she wanted to use it as a decoration. He immediately asked if there weren't other jars. But she said she only wanted the bottle he was holding. Seeing this, Chu Haoban immediately ran over and said, "Isn't this bottle dirty?" He said if she liked he could buy her another bottle. But no one paid attention to him. She continued to spend the jar with him. After that, he immediately satisfied her and said that if she liked it, he would consider it as a gift to her. She immediately asked him about the origin of this bottle and told him not to lie. He immediately explained the origin of the bottle. It is the blood coral cloud and tranquil lake made of blood coral and crafted in the years of Wuhan about 160 years ago. Hearing him say that, there was a lot of discussion about how much the bottle was worth, whether it was real or fake, and if the bottle was so precious, why did he put it on display? Elder man thought to himself that he didn't need to check the bottle, but if he looked a little, he would clearly know the origin. Seeing everyone looking at him, he immediately said he said it all and don't look at him like that. Hearing that, Chu Haoban intended to reprimand him and ask him if he wanted old man to spend his life researching antiques and throw such an object away for display because he thought it was a fake. He was turning to flatter elder man. He secretly thought that at first he just wanted to brag to his friend that he had found a valuable item, but he did not expect the result to be like this. He then said that this jar was indeed made about 100 years ago and that what he said was correct. Everyone immediately asked what it was. There were rumors that if the bottle was evaluated like that, why was it left in the display area? Could he have mistaken it for something else? Seeing that, she secretly thought it was bad and knew that she shouldn't have brought him here. Then he said he was also curious when he knew the origin of a disease, but why did he bring it up to show? Wasn't he afraid it would be stolen? He immediately said who knew the boy's eyes were so good. He asked him if he was praising or hurting him. Hearing him say that, she turned to flattery and asked him about participating in the ancient survey. Duang Min was stunned and said there were 6 sets of reviews. Hearing that, Man Huyan said that the 6 sets were distinguished, including the Book of Books, the set of Magnetism and Technology, the set of Travels, the set of Ko Tik Thien Ban, the set of Currency Bills, and the set of Jiubao. The number of tests is selected by 6 sets. Tomorrow, you must use all your abilities to complete the test. He heard that and said it was too much trouble, could I not participate? She just turned her face down and said no. He heard that and immediately said okay, so what do I need to do? Chuhak Ban, standing behind the two of them, heard this and gritted his teeth, thinking that my father was in charge of Chow Bao Bo. Let's see how you got this ticket, Duong Nin. On Manhuyan and Duong Nin's side, two people were waiting for the stairs. When I reached the floor, a man in a suit came out and asked who this guy was. Manhuyan just said that it was related to him. He just said very well, my name is Trin Nok Kang. Everyone calls me Trin Thu. In Namhai, there is no one who does not know my face and no one who does not give me face. If you like, you can call me Trin Thu Jia. As he spoke, he winked at Duong Nin and smiled. Duong Nin frowned, turned down and asked Manhuyan who he was. Ms. Bao didn't know. That guy Nok Kang immediately shouted at you angrily. He was shaking with anger. Even so, the male lead came out and patted him on the shoulder and said he was cool but girls didn't care. I understand, don't be sad. After speaking, the two turned away. Not even half a step away, the black man said Manhuyan. Today I booked a place at Hai Lan Thien to celebrate two friends who just returned home. If she comes they seem to be very happy. She immediately thought that if she refused today, God knows what would happen tomorrow. I only have one meal, so I have to go. After that, she told Duong Nin to come with me. Nok Kang heard that and made a puzzled face. Duong Nin also went. Then he just said it. What is his relationship with Manhuyan? Scene changed to a luxurious outdoor restaurant in front of the ocean. Two girls with attractive, hot bodies. Duong Nin said while eating that the food was a bad one. Don't try to compete with me for food. The two girls looked puzzled upon hearing that. The other two ladies sat at the same table with Manhuyan. The brown-haired girl said Lam Tu Tu. This season 1 see a lot of famous actors hiring makeup artists to cut them short bangs. But compared to them, Lam Tu Tu is not much inferior. I think that changing to that hairstyle will suit you better. The purple-haired girl sitting next to her said that this season the main color of Dior women is darker. In classic style, this season the number of outfits sold is limited. If Miss Lam is interested, we will prepare every day. Manhuyan calmly said no. Thank you. The purple-haired girl approached her. Take a breath and say Ms. Lam. Do you like romantic perfume? I heard this brand is launching new products in the fall. I guess romantic is the next version. She turned her head to look at Duong Min who was still fighting with the food. She got angry and gingerly pinched his leg. Feeling the pain he immediately screamed. He turned around. All I could do was look and wonder if she knew how to avoid a meal. If you're angry, it's your problem. Why are you angry at me? After watching for a while, he told me to go to the bathroom and went to the men's bathroom. Seeing that Chu Hak Ban was also here, he told me I didn't expect to be lucky enough to meet Mr. Chu here. Did you come here to eat? Did he turn to greet you? Ha ha. Before I could finish speaking, Duong Min went out and told me to go first. Wishing Mr. Chu a good appetite. Seeing this, Chu Hak Ban immediately came out and shouted that he had just come here to eat. Your whole family comes here to eat. You bastard, you wait. I will let you know what the consequences will be if you dare to provoke me, Chu Bin. Scene change. Duong Nin walked up to Manhuyan and said that I had just seen Chu Ban in the bathroom. He has physical weakness. Such a big urinal but his penis could only drip gold everywhere. Hearing that, she burst out laughing. Nok Kang, standing behind, saw this and shook with anger. The brown-haired girl vaguely heard what Duong Nin told Manhuyan. Saying vulgar words in such a luxurious place is rude. Duong Nin smiled and replied. So I want to know what I said that was so vulgar and rude. Right away, the purple-haired girl said that the most important thing to judge a man is his appearance. Second, look at the background, whether the education level is high or not. The third is to be in the upper class, and the brown hair is said not to be far away. Look at his clothes, from head to toe it's all cheap. I'm afraid that if I ask him a little bit about clothing trends, cosmetics or dishes in the upper class, I'm afraid he won't know anything. When the male lead heard that, he turned around and said he heard what she said. You must have known quite a lot over these years. When the two girls heard that, they said what he meant. Seeing Nak Kang approaching, she immediately told Trin she was missing. You must demand justice for us. He dares to insult us. He immediately said he didn't listen. Please apologize to them for me. Otherwise, don't blame me for not being polite. Duong Nin ignored their words and lit a cigarette, saying she said Dior's next trend is classic. But I do not think so. Hearing him say that, the two girls sneered and said, oh, if I said it wrong then please tell me what the next trend is. The brown-haired girl said to Lila too, if he knows that, let's just wash our hands and listen. Duong Nin said I think. Everyone thinks the next trend is classic but there are still things hidden behind. Why are the colors of the outfit made darker but some soft tones are used? But if combined with bright jewelry, it will make a difference. I think the next trend will be based on the blooming of flower petals in spring. Hearing that, the two girls were surprised and thought that what he said was not wrong. It is impossible not to have this possibility. And again it's great. Mr. Teep is right. She said that the season of the sea is coming. The ultra-short hair machine will become the new popular hair machine. But some of the stars you mentioned, if I remember correctly, they must be long. Their hair is so short that it doesn't match their faces. How come I have long hair like an eggplant in your mind? Hearing that, Manhwa tried not to laugh. Unpredictable depth. Duong Nin continued. In addition, she also mentioned that perfume company Channer will launch a new romantic product. I don't think so. Because romantic is the type created to celebrate Channer's 100th anniversary. The next one should be launched at a more celebratory occasion. For example, the 110th anniversary. The two girls saw the male lead's talent and immediately told us that Miss Trin remembered that we had an urgent matter. Please go first. Thank you for your hospitality. After speaking, the two of them fell down. Duong Nin proudly said this. I still have something to say. Manhwa stood next to her and chuckled and said the two main characters had also left. We should also leave here. And then the male lead went home with her. On Nak Kang's side, he ordered the poisoner to investigate Duong Nin's family background for him. If possible, eliminate me for him. Hearing the order, he immediately obeyed. On a pink supercar, Manhwa said he heard someone say it. The male lead asked again what happened. She just said the information you said earlier. When the male lead heard that, he said that's what happened. That's what people call the process. She just thought that on the outside he seemed like he was showing off. But if you look closely, you don't know how deep he is. Looks like I'm afraid of you. Scene changes to Manhwa's villa. Dong Dong is sleeping soundly on the sofa. Phi Nhi sat on the sofa scrolling through her phone. She saw Manhwa and Duong Nin coming back and immediately said oh. Her little boy is back. When the male lead heard that, he thought little elf. Keep flirting with him all day long. In order for him to catch it, Manhwa suddenly gave him a bottle. He was surprised. Manhwa just told him to return it to you. Duong Nin took it and asked if it was true. I thought I had lost this bottle forever. I didn't expect it to come back. It's not like I'm dreaming. Phi Nhu asked what that was. Manhwa just said an antique bottle is worth 120,000. Phi Nhu was surprised when she heard that price. She just said ha 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 ha. Is giving such a precious item to someone a token of love? Manhwa just said what are you talking about? It happened this morning at the company. She told Phi Nhi the story. Hearing that, Phi Nhi said, are you telling the truth? Come here quickly. As she spoke, she sat on the bed. Seeing that, Duong Min thought about preserving it for 18 years. Do I have to say goodbye today? He awkwardly blushed and said I wasn't ready. But in his heart he thought my spring was coming. Phi Nhi said she was looking for him today so he could help her with the palm of her hand. After speaking, she showed him the Buddha bracelet. Seeing that, he suddenly wondered how she could be in that kind of jade Buddha. Change me. The system panel that appears evaluates that this is another very sophisticated statue made from nature's rarest ingredients. So the value is extremely high. He told Phi Nhi again. Seeing that, Phi Nhi brought out a box and said she still had a lot of things left. You can help her. In that box was the Supreme Nanyang Gold Pearl Necklace. Natural Tahitian Black Pearl Necklace. Suji Sea Necklace. Men's Weni Pendant in Red Agate. Red Merlin Tour Ring. Tanzanite ring. She said, handsome little guy. Are these jewelry worth a lot of money? He had just realized that the answer was actually quite a lot. Where did you get these jewelry? She just said it's not a scam anyway. How much? The male lead said if she entrusted a professional auction house to be responsible for the sale, she would be able to sell for about 7 million. In the case of a good buyer, tens of millions can be placed. She asked how long. Who did you answer correctly? If you're quick? If you are 10 days and a half? If you're slow, you might not be able to sell it all in a year? She worriedly said if it was cheaper, he would ask her if she needed the money urgently. She replied that she had thought about it the way she thought about it. Now it's 8 million left. Men lent her a lot. And now she can receive more than 3 million. He replied if he sold it directly to the system. I can receive more than 3.6 million in cash immediately and count more than 900,000 in my bank card. Enough to pay for the transaction. This might help her. But also give yourself points. Sister, do you want to talk about it? I can accept these jewelry. Of course incompetence has limits. And I can only get it to 4.5 million. Scene change. Duong Nin is doing his hair when suddenly his phone vibrates notifying him of a new message. He just said that the bank card balance has definitely increased by nearly 8 million. First transfer money to Oriental Mayfair, then check how many points are earned. The system immediately reported 3,770 points. He just shouted and now has 3,770 points. After returning home from school, Duong Nin jumped into the forest and lay down. I'm wondering what to do with this money. Suddenly remembering his 3 sisters, he immediately ordered 3 bottles of beauty pills for 3 of them. After placing the order, he immediately went down to the living room. Saw 3 sisters sitting down there already. Just say hello. Ms. Phi Nhi was the first person to greet him back. Praise him for everything. Next, his sister Hai Maozan was skeptical about whether he had earned that 3 million dong. And he said yes and thanks to the eldest sister Phi. She told me there was no need to thank me. But my sister Hai Maozan wants something more than that thank you just now. Seeing that, Dong Dong's younger sister started jumping up. Ask to eat. Know this in advance. I already brought down 3 bottles of elixir. The 3 sisters were surprised. Immediately asked what it was. He calls this a high-end beauty elixir. Extracted from many herbs. No labels and no side effects. Ms. Phi refused because she was beautiful enough. But seeing the other 2 sisters made me excited. Ms. Phi also questioned this situation. Called Mao Zan afraid of being discovered just because of his expression. That's why I took her diary from 1 year ago to cover it up. Turn to ask Dong Dong. Is the medicine effective? And she doesn't know either. She wondered why her colleague smelled catfish from the medicine. Ms. Phi was confused by this logic problem, afraid of being exposed. So he explained that because of the medicine, he changed his appearance. The 3 sisters immediately turned to Duong Nin, surprised by his words. Luckily, he handed over the responsibility of moving the medicine to Duong Viam. Now Duong Nin is sweating, not knowing how to explain to the 3 sisters. What do Phi Nhi, Mao Zan and Dong Dong think about this issue? Duong Nin asked the 3 sisters, Phi Nhi, Mao Zan and Dong Dong, to drink it 3 times a day. 2 pills at a time, and the body will then begin to excrete basic toxins. He also advised, remember to drink exactly 3 times, then the toxicity will begin. And told the 3 sisters not to drink it with sugar. Ms. Phi stopped Mao Zan from giving him medicine because his body was underdeveloped. As for Mao Zan, he basically agrees. Dong Dong cried and called out the 2 sisters who were bullying him. And so the 3 sisters started fighting each other. Duong Nin also sighed at this situation. One late afternoon, Duong Viam was beaten by his lover because of the trouble she had caused. Claiming that the tiger side erased her existence. Still wanting her to disappear, Duong Viam lay on the floor frustrated. Mui woke up and rubbed his cheek, telling him to see that Lam Manhuyan was more important than her. Undeterred, he didn't say much and left. Leaving Duong Viam frustrated and crying alone, she began to resent Lam Manhuyan. Vows to take everything she has. And will kill her no matter what happens to her life. The next morning, Duong Nin was still sleeping in bed. Suddenly there was a scream, so he immediately ran down to see what was happening. It turns out that the skin of two sisters Fai and Mao Zan has become smoother. So the two girls shouted. He sighed, and complained why would he bring him down here. Makes me think there's a thief in the house. At this time, Fai Nhi and Mao Zan were frightened by Duong Nin's boy. Called him a pervert, then threw a pillow at him. He was angry, then criticized her for seeing Chai naked for the first time or something. Mao Zan told him to go back to the room to change, and Fai Nhi still praised his little guy. Embarrassed, he immediately returned to his room to change. Please don't look at it in case you get greedy. Breakfast began to be laid out on the table. While waiting for the dong, Duong Nin and Fai Nhi talked about her skin. Asking Duong Nin to see if her skin is beautiful, he nodded and agreed to let the matter go. Suddenly the phone rang. Mao Zan picked it up, her face suddenly deformed. What happened that made Mao Zan sweat so much? Stop arguing and sit down quickly. The man put his glass on the table and signaled, and he whistled at Duong Nin's hand from the porch. He was startled and then told the teachers that my name is Duong Min. He studied at Hunan High School, and is currently preparing for the university entrance exam. Everyone listened attentively. The purpose of my coming here is that through your consultation, as an old representative, I will participate in this auction. After listening to him, the old people all felt that this young man was very confident, but he really didn't have much knowledge at a young age. Everyone agreed with his opinion because they all had the same opinion. Anyway, my recommendation was approved naturally. Having said that, he came and picked up a yellow box bordered with delicate patterns and placed a modern painting inside. Duong Nin was startled and surprised, but quickly recovered from what he had originally said with an arrogant fist. As expected of the president's writing, the man was surprised. Just then, the origin of the painting was clearly indicated. It's scary that he also used a more harmonious tone than Duong Nin. Didn't he come and talk a little about this painting, considering how many people saw such a scene? Talking about old Chu, he also paid too much attention to him. He simply couldn't tell the motive in Duong Lin's eyes, and his sharp eyes flashed past. Everyone slow voices rang out once again, taking the ancients as their ultimate goal to achieve something that would never be given by the ancients. Lin looked at him with different eyes when he heard him speak, which contained determination and confidence. Not only that, in just a few sentences, his whole journey was told. Young people these days are terrible. They're always polite in their words. Old Chu and Manhwa were sweating, afraid for Duong Lin. As soon as he finished saying that sentence, the man said no. His voice was as cold as a basin of cold water splashed. And Mr. The company will lose face. Teacher True said that the ancient book has a different value than the original. It can't be the last coin of $30,000 because Manhwa is so angry right now that he just wants to punch Duong Lin and tell him what he discovered. Duong Lin avoided her eyes and was sweating profusely. Seeing that the situation was not good, she immediately said that this was just a good technique that was sold for some value. Right after that, her anger increased even more. On the contrary, with an angry look, Duong Lin, on the other hand, calmly said, "What are the benefits?" Manhwa couldn't believe he said that, so she lowered her voice and asked him, "What do you want? Raise your hand. The identification fee is 50,000. Everyone can't believe it's such a large amount of money." Manhwa pondered in thought. In the end, how much is this last decade of Soviet Union worth? Laughing and saying, "The kid appraised it at 50,000, then give it to me." With poor eyesight, I really couldn't see how much it was worth. Huyen said he could consider it and he happily thought it was true, but in reality it was all just a hoax. Duong Lin's face was gloomy as if she had just lost her rice book. Manhwa silently assessed that even if it cost 50,000 for the appraisal fee, he could be sure that the company would not suffer any loss. "If you believe me, I will definitely give the money to the last person." He felt his soul had returned. He breathed a sigh of relief. "That's right. About ancient books, have you heard about the whole subject yet?" He had a gloomy face and thought about the mysterious work. Heard that each member had ejaculation and had found a catch point. Duong Lin once again said an important joke that many people could pull out layers of paper without leaving a trace. Old True said broodingly, as if afraid he knew something. If this book really came from a wealthy family, I would have almost become a member of my company. Everyone was buzzing and bored and sweating profusely to see if this was really a treasure. Knowing that everything had come to this point, he couldn't hide it anymore. He said that if the appraisal was not wrong and the auction price was at least, everyone could sell it for 400,000. Manhwa was shocked and thought to himself, first it was secret code, then it was blood sand cloud. Now it was a snake with 12 rolls of talent like this. Being able to join the Lam Tea is to make her express her intention to invite him to the Lam Tea to work, and the more serious she is, the more joking Duong Lin is. If you're willing to get married and share a room with me, I won't be able to go to the Lam family to be your aunt. He did not say the true value of Lin Shu. How could he earn 400 million people with such strength to be worthy of 200,000 or 100 quadrillion? Her face visibly softened. The small mouth said that the small Lam Tea temple did not forgive this great Buddha. Duong Lin saw that and immediately heard her two bright white jaws come out. When we're in a good mood, we won't remember what just happened. The father of the painting right here is an oil painting. In this painting, 6 girls are standing in an unclear position drifting in a nightlife city with a luxurious life in the hills. It's true that Nin Duong contemplated the painting as if he had discovered a new light. It was true that the man Li Zam was equally happy. As Li Zam said, I will nominate you in a different development with men who are secretly thinking about how to let him pass. It's really miserable. Your luck really surprises me, but it doesn't stop there. You turtle doesn't really know how to open your eyes wide and talk about many things. Relying only on one's energy, one can negotiate fiercely and suddenly see that things have gone beyond the limit. Old Chu said, standing further apart, to quickly proceed. In the first exam, he used a sinister look without any good intentions. My test was very simple, cutting stone. He further explained that jelly can be considered gambling. Just controlling your luck accounts for only half and the rest depends on your eyesight, experience and bravery. Minister Zhou displayed several primeval stones. If Duong Nin can cut 3 stones and get the water fee, he passes the test. However, you have to spend money to buy it because his marble is unique. But the old man shouted, revealing this trick of using money to buy scrap raw stones. He smiled and confirmed that it was only 3 stones. Minister Zhou was surprised. Seeing that, he had to play by his rules. Seeing so many stones, he also wanted to cut 3 more stones. But the old man stopped him and advised him not to buy this scrap. Minister Zhou said not to pay attention, calling this rock site genuine. Never deceive people. Suddenly Duong Nin smiled. It turned out he intended to test his eyesight. Through eyesight, 3 stones have green light, 4 stones have white light. The remaining one contains only one dark gray color. He carefully asked again where the pile of rocks was. The minister asked for 1 million, but he said it wasn't worth it. Because the money is better used to buy a car. Seeing that the bait was so good, he immediately reduced it to 700,000. I don't want it, I'll buy it for 500,000. Hearing that, he immediately agreed and asked him to sign the transaction contract. Then gave him a stack of notes to notice that the situation was not good. Did the old man call Duong Nin that risky? Feeling so confident. But he felt sorry for him because of that pile of scrap rock. You said that 500,000 was easy to earn back. Seeing Duong Nin still so calm, Lam Tiu Thu's face immediately became sad. Minister Chu turned to ask Lam Tiu Thu to check again. After completing, she said she would transfer that 50 million to the finance department. He nodded in agreement, and with that enthusiasm, she immediately signed the paper. It turned out that Minister Zhou intentionally let Duong Nin pass. Seeing Lam Tiu Thu was suspicious. He immediately asked her to transfer his salary and bonuses to the planning department. Then the 2 people will divide the money later. Suddenly Lam Tong walked in. I see you've decided that. Lin advised not to keep it. Hope you are always satisfied with this new position. Seeing that Lam Tong is beautiful with such a hot body, Duong Nin seems to have been hit by a love scandal. Minister Zhou immediately came out to welcome General Lam. Ask her what business she has here. Do you blame your grandfather for not being able to come? Then he turned to Duong Nin. Confirm whether you are the person Mr. True mentioned. You are right. turned to ask Old True. How is the progress of the 6 sets of examinations? He called everyone who voted except him. Minister Chu said that if General Lam dared to decide to compete, it would be very troublesome. Seeing people discussing, he told her that he would bring the resignation letter to the director's office for her to confirm. But she didn't mind at all. Just tell Secretary Liu to do it. Because she doesn't have free time. He cursed silently. Call her a bitch. Seeing Minister Zhou, Duang Nin immediately asked him if he wanted to see if he could cut jade into the stone. He said no. I feel sorry for him. Because this stone is worth hundreds of thousands. Lam Tiu too was skeptical about the preciousness of the stone. He asked her to try cutting the stone, which he took at random. Seeing him so confident, she immediately believed what he said. Just good. She knew 2 experienced masters in cutting jelly. Seeing that Minister Zhou was not interested, he immediately criticized him. However, he was still not convinced by that. Right in the stone cutting room, Lam Tiu too handed the stone to the 2 masters. To start cutting marble, Duang Nin secretly turned back. Who knows, Minister Zhou will also come. On the other hand, the 2 masters are discussing where to start. One guy said it should be cut from here. But that guy tried playing soccer. There was no green stone, so I told him to change to the other direction. While observing the 2 masters discussing, he mistakenly asked Tiu Tu to ask who Ms. Lam Tong was. She is Lam Tu Tin, both the general director and her sister. Thanks to Lam Tu Tin, Lam Ti has developed over the years. Truly passionate about beauty. And finally the stone cutting process has begun. The master began to put stones into the saw blade. After a while, the 2 were surprised by this color. Immediately told Lam Tiu Tu that she had already left the continent. Everyone was also surprised by this. I immediately asked the master what quality jade this was. The 2 masters Liu suddenly discovered. The 2 said that this was a jade ice that was meticulous and flawless. Created by adventure. Everyone was surprised at the jadeite. It was as if he had been beaten to the punch, but the old man was excited because it was a real monk exaggerating. Because it can be cut in half, this stone can be made into 2 more pieces of jewelry. Overjoyed, Lam Tiu Tu immediately handed it over to Lam Tu Tin. She believes that those stones can be sold to famous companies in the jewelry market. And it is also possible to expand other branches abroad. At this moment, Lam Tu Tin's eyes coincided with Duang Nin's. He was startled. She immediately called Manhuyan and asked the finance department to transfer Duang Nin 100,000. And finally the 1 million rich man's mission was completed. He immediately received the title of 100,000 rich man. He was excited by the results when suddenly a new task appeared. This time it's the title of 1 million rich man. The target this time is 10,000. Seeing that, he immediately asked Master Liu to cut the remaining pieces for him. Minister Zhou still did not agree with that. Seeing him preparing to take the stones to continue cutting, he immediately stopped and asked for the stones to be returned to him. He immediately snatched it back and took out the contract paper. Claim that you are breaking your promise with what is in this contract. Seeing that, he couldn't do anything. On the other hand, Lam Tu Tin immediately told him to restrain himself or he would be chased away by security. He began to panic, stammering and shouting because he was impatient. Minister Zhou suddenly realized it and immediately brought the remaining primeval stone box. Asking Master Liu to cut this place to use him feels awkward. He immediately went to ask Lam Tu Tin, what should he do now? He told me to relax because the next job would be the same. Master Liu had no choice but to cut Minister Zhou. As he was about to cut, Minister Chu told him to cut carefully, fearing that he would damage the green and ice primeval stones. The first time he cut, he collapsed. The primeval rock was broken. Seeing that he was not satisfied, he asked his master to cut it a second time. The result is still the same, cut a third time, still preventing hollowness. Lam Tiu Tu and Lam Tin Tu were speechless before this situation. Cut a fourth time, still empty. Master Liu also started to worry. Not impressed by this, he immediately collapsed. Tell the master to continue cutting until the green comes out. Seeing that Minister Zhou's condition was not good, Master Liu immediately asked him to rest. But he shook his master's dirty hand away. And he personally said he would do it. Such a tumultuous situation. Duong Nin immediately asked him to cut it first. In a fit of anger, Minister Zhou immediately told Duong Nin to wait for the next turn. Because he didn't believe in this pile of rocks, he couldn't get even one piece out. Suddenly some water was thrown at him, and on the floor were wet pieces of broken stone. And just like Minister Chu's people, the anger had reached its peak. He said everything was a scam and demanded a denunciation. Seeing him sinking into despair, he immediately approached and told him to step back. Let me do it. Immediately gave the master 4 pieces of primeval stone that he filtered out. Old True was excited and asked his master to hurry up. And the first stone is green, then cut the second stone. Continue to be green in the block. And the remaining 2 stones also produce green. Minister Zhou was so shocked by this result that he sobbed. Not impressed by this, Master Lu held in his hand 4 ice cubes. Admired by his prowess and ingenuity, he told me not to rush, so I started bidding to see if anyone would buy these 2 blocks. Lam Tu Tin immediately offered a price of 500,000. Minister Zhou was horrified by that price. I'm looking at 500,000. Because the system now gives the price of 2 pills as 280 and 140,000 respectively. Thinking that this is still not enough for the other 10,000. Lam Tu Tin is surprised at his complacency. Now he's wondering whether to cut it or not. Then he decided to give this block to Master Lu to cut first. He began to tremble in fear. Because if you cut haphazardly, there will be losses. And it cannot be sold for thousands of dollars. Of course it is. Still continues to be the tape type. Color of money. Witch hazel. Joy burst out. Minister Chu gasped at this ingenuity. Old True looked like he was trying to tease him. Lean fell to the ground. Foaming at the mouth. Think he was cursed. Still insisting that that block of stone is still his. Seeing him foaming at the mouth, Elder True immediately called an ambulance to pick up Minister Chu. On the other hand, Lam Tu Tin still wants Duong Nin to sell the stone for 800,000. And of course, Duong Nin agreed. But she wondered why he didn't cut the remaining tablet. Because I want to keep it as a beautiful memory later. The 3 elders are praising Duong Nin for his talent. Knowing how to stop at the right time, but Duong Nin thinks you guys are overdoing it. In the Nguyen Thatch stone cutting room, because everything was finished, Duong Nin also planned to leave. He did not cut the remaining tablet because he was afraid of making everyone nervous. Besides, he knew that the remaining blocks were just glass. Lam Tu too felt embarrassed and asked him if he was sure he didn't want to cut it. He insisted on saying no, because he was afraid of doing this American thing. But she was still curious inside that block of primordial stone. Seeing her excitement, he guessed she had some knowledge about Geum Thatch. Before she could finish her sentence, she frowned and approached Duong Nin, whose face was red. Also very curious about what's in your stuff. At this time, Lam Tu Tin interrupted the 2. I suggest cutting the back layer of the rock, because after all, only 3 people know. Faced with the offer, he couldn't refuse. Because it was expected by 2 great beauties. Seeing that the 3 young people were plotting, Olden immediately smiled and turned to leave. A few hours later, preparing to start cutting stone, suddenly the 4 old men from before slowly walked in from the door. It turned out that he already knew that the 3 people would bring stones to the master's place to cut the stone. He blamed Duong Nin for not doing so, but Duong Nin was not sure about the jadeite in it. So he was afraid that the elders would laugh at him, so he cheerfully denied it. Seeing Olden talking loudly, Old True immediately told him to be quiet. Let Master Lu cut the stones and put them inside the machine. The saw blade began to work, and the 4 old men were surprised, because the quality inside the stone was just normal, not worth much money. He didn't believe it either, so he asked the master to try somewhere else. Even Miss Lam and Lam Tu Tin were surprised. Seeing that he was disappointed, he immediately comforted him and said that it was okay to produce the oil stick. But he was still not convinced, even though the master had confirmed that it was oil stick. He immediately opened the system to review that 280,000 stone. Seeing that the system still shows the correct value of that same stone. Suddenly he realized something. so he asked Master Lu to cut this block with water thread. The two elders opened their mouths at his decision. Because Duong Nin knew that the witch had learned the secret of that stone. That's hiding the witchcraft carefully in there. Everyone gathered around old Lu to watch him cut the yuan stone block. Suddenly an appraiser shouted for now. The others asked what was going on. When they look at the primeval stone, they see jade within jade. Old Lu was moved and said that before he had heard of thatch in thatch knock in knock, he did not expect to see it with his own eyes today. Elder Man observed that when looking closely, the color of this jade was a bit similar. Death also hesitated. She immediately asked Tu Tin if he knew what jade was. Tu Tin replied that this is a water pig and also a green-colored emperor. Surprised people shouted, "Emperor Luke." Old Lu immediately said that the remaining part should probably be invited to the stone masters to cut it out. Hearing that, other appraisers said that such things are often used as rings or rings. Each item is no less than 100,000. The lover turned back to look at him and asked if he wanted to sell. Seeing her look at him, his face turned red. Then he pondered. He reviewed the progress of the mission and saw that he needed another 2 million to complete the mission, so there was no need to rush to sell this thing. His goal is to accumulate points, but selling to the system only gives 54 points while Lam Tu Tin offers 800,000. Are you wondering if there is a way to get points and money at the same time? Lam Tu Tin immediately said that this Green Emperor was really important to the Lam group. Hearing that, he said to Hoang Luke to any jewelry group. On the Chinese coast, the number of warships that found this type of jade can be counted on the fingers of one hand. Any ship that has it will consider it a treasure. Hearing him say that, she immediately said it was right because for the time being foreign countries had restricted the export of this type of jade, so it was impossible for jewelry corporations to have this type of inventory. But this type of lamb tea is getting more and more deprived, making it more and more difficult. Today, no matter whether it is a piece or a piece, it is a support for lamb tea. But he said that he did not want to sell this block of jade for the time being. Death continues to convince him why he doesn't want to sell even though the price hasn't been heard yet. He simply said he didn't want to. He was worried that she wouldn't be able to resist its temptation. The heroine asks him for a reason not to sell it. He calmly said the reason was simple. He intended it as a bracelet for his mother and future wife. She thought he was really hiding so deeply that she thought he was just a scoundrel. Unexpectedly, his ability to appraise antiques is first class. When it comes to fighting with strong vigor and understanding of current trends. Also offers mystical beauty products. Today I came to see the stone painting and everything is expert. What is your limit? Then he told her that if she considered becoming his wife, she would get a portion of the imperial continent without having to spend money. Hearing him say that, she thought that after all, he was still just a scoundrel. Seeing such a situation, Man Lao immediately said there was a way to compromise. He said Lam wanted Emperor Hoang Luke because he wanted to create a position to enter the jewelry manufacturing industry. Whether or not it is still secondary. He turned to him and asked, and he wanted to use this to make bracelets for his loved ones. Then you said so. T. Lam invited the master to come back and make it as payment. Then the finished product was loaned to Lam T for a month. Lam T paid him double the amount as mortgage. After speaking, he asked how it was. He thought that it would be good to give Lam Tu Tin a favor. Then he shook hands with Lam Tu Tin into a knife. Returning to the villa, he lay on the bed thinking that there was still a month left until tomorrow's appraisal contest, with scales returning to Nam Ho first. Then he looked at his attribute points. He decided to use his current accumulated points to buy the Bin Vong card to practice elementary skills. After the previous kidnapping incident, he thought this was quite necessary. He said that with this God-given talent, his increasing wealth and fame will make many people jealous. You can't find a way to protect yourself. Then he bought this thing and added attribute points to the missing areas and added a little energy points to the rest. After completing it, he felt happy that his body was now at B level. Then he decided to go back and see what the other handbook was like. The system notifies you that you have used the elementary manual. Real combat training. Those scenes appeared one after another in his mind. He woke up sweating. Then he sat up and looked at the clock. It was only 4 o'clock, but only a dozen hours had passed. But it felt like a few years had passed. If you look at the fusion progress, it's only a third. The system board showed that he had only combined the close combat punch with the military punch and combat punch. He thought that the 4 words, King Bai Bin King, were too shallow to think about, but they made people look forward to them. At the villa, after waking up, she saw that he had left the bed so early. When he asked, she said Dong Dong had already gone to school and Phi was busy working with 2 big companies. Then he wondered and asked the company if she wasn't just a lingerie model. Hearing that, she immediately explained that she is not only a model but also the president of a famous lingerie company. The clothes she wears are often produced by companies that can both advertise and gain fame. When he looked at her from above, he blushed and saw her big round pair of peaches. She saw him looking and knew he looked away immediately. In his mind, he secretly thought that using the King of Soldiers to hold a chest would increase his reaction speed a lot, but it would also be difficult to detect. Then she asked if he still had the high school graduation exam. She asked him to quickly return to study. She said Hua Fu University was the best university. If he passed the exam, she would invite him to dinner. After that, she was concerned about his study situation. Hearing her question, he only shyly replied that he was ranked 2nd in the class from the bottom up. She dejectedly said that if he passed the exam, she would invite him to dinner. He happily thanked her in advance. On the train, he thought he was preparing for the competition, but the preparation didn't seem simple. A girl passed by. He looked at the back, admiring how seductive it was. He immediately thought that the person who used the saying looked back and wanted to commit a crime. She was probably looking this way. Her eyes glowed brightly as she looked at the girl, catching her attention. Behind her were 2 hoodlums staring at her. One guy said she was the best or that he was talking to her. The other guy said to wait for the car to stop and then follow her and talk slowly. They discussed for a bit. One person would have soup, then one person would eat first, then switch back. Hearing our conversation, I got angry and thought that this kind of scum could torture you guys in 50 different ways in 1 minute. When the train stopped and got off the train, he saw them walking behind the girl. They call this little girl. She turned around and they immediately approached and asked for her phone number. She was afraid to say she didn't bring her phone today. They then immediately offered to find somewhere to eat and drink, but she still refused because she was busy. Seeing her like that, they got angry and said she thought she could leave. They said they just wanted to invite her to eat, but after they finished eating, they would take her home. Seeing their actions, she trembled in fear and told them to stay away, otherwise she would call the police. The cunning blonde guy said he believed he would take her to the mountains to sell, and at that time, not to mention reporting to the police, he couldn't run away. The purple-haired guy said that mountain men like to buy women to take home to give birth to babies. Sometimes 4 to 5 heroes buy them. After that, they played together. They would put bracelets and anklets on this woman. Standing from afar, he thought she had finally called for help. He thought this girl was sane but she was still foolish and adorable. He walked out. Seeing him, they recognized him as the boy in the car earlier. Did they ask you to follow them? He disdainfully replied that he was just passing by. One guy got angry at his brother's attitude and tried to punch him in the face but he stopped him. He only used one hand to block his punch and push him to the ground. Then he looked at him arrogantly. Seeing his teammate fall, the other man panicked and quickly went away, threatening to say he wanted to die, asking him if he knew who he was. He just casually said it wasn't important. Ho Nam is so big, you brought him to the hospital for 3 months. When he wakes up, are you sure he can find you? Even if he goes looking, are you sure your finances are enough? That guy heard his threat and felt scared because even if he wanted to retaliate, he didn't know where to go to find him. He immediately asked what he wanted to do. His expression immediately turned cunning and said he just wanted to invite him to a meal. Even though he was scared, he still grabbed the knife and rushed forward to punch him. He gently dodged the knife and knocked him down to the ground. Seeing that, he said they were weak and he hadn't had time to warm up yet. He arrogantly exclaims that it's so lonely for a master to find an opponent and it's just as difficult to find an opponent when he's itchy and doesn't know who to turn to practice his moves. Then he turned around and didn't see the girl from before. Don't you think that in the story of the hero saving the beauty, after saving the beauty, he uses his body to repay her? Good or bad, she would leave her phone number and then drink together and rent a room, or at least tell the person her name and say thank you. Not seeing the girl from earlier, he was depressed and returned home. A guy hiding from afar saw this scene and guessed that he was probably the 9th of August 10 from the army. He took a taxi home. After arriving, the driver worriedly asked if he was sure his car could get in because this was a high-end apartment complex. He simply replied that there was nothing to ask the driver to open the door. The security guard happily greeted Mr. after getting off the bus. He generously gave the driver money and said there was no need for change. The driver happily thanked him. He entered the house and greeted Nhiku. He asked if you were injected with a stimulant. He explained that he didn't have any hormone injections, just that the last time he was in a car accident at night, he felt like his body was moving. Hearing that, he immediately asked if there was still movement. Then he said that this time he was also much taller in disaster and luck. Hearing that, he immediately said that if it happened one more time, he was willing to let the car crash. I think it's not important to increase height and size, the important thing is to pick up the system of intelligence. Hearing that, Nhiku got angry and hit his brother on the head, telling him not to talk about such unlucky things. He advised him to study for the graduation exam over there, hoping he could get good results. He said he would definitely have to go to school tomorrow, and many subject heads would call him many times by phone. He answered the door and went to study. At the Hua Hai South Wang private headquarters, there was a white-haired guy drinking alcohol. Seeing the guy with black hair walk in, he said as if he was leaving, then he gave the glass of wine to the black hair and complimented that the wine was not bad. The black-haired guy looked at it, picked it up and drank the entire glass of wine, surprising him. The black-haired guy commented that this wine was quite normal and had no flavor. Hearing that, the white-haired guy thought it was red wine and drank it all at once. How could he get any flavor out of it? He immediately asked how things were going and whether he was dead or not. The black-haired guy immediately said he couldn't do anything to him. Hearing that, the white-haired guy immediately commented that it seems like this guy is not simple. The black-haired man continued to ask a friend to find out information about him, such as the friend's authority, lack of position, and his previous job in the Ministry of National Security. Then the black-haired guy continued to say that it wasn't like he didn't have any harvest but also found some information. Regardless of whether it's fake or real, I want to warn him first. He immediately asked what it was. The news is saying don't tease me, everything should stop here. But he still wondered what kind of person he was. The black-haired guy immediately explained, and recently there were a few very hot videos on the internet infuriating local people who gave him a 10,000 tip. When he went to find out, he indeed lived in the largest villa in Hunan. The white-haired man secretly thought that the richest person in a small, low-class city would not dare to fight with Trinjia. He asked if you had a lot of money. The black-haired guy immediately said that he indeed had a lot of money, but compared to Trinjia, it was still poor. The point is that he is in the other room, which is Nin Kwok Heen's villa. Hearing that, the white-haired man immediately wondered who Nin Kwok Heen was. The black-haired man explained that he was a person who had an impact on the economy and politics of Jiangnin province. Nin Kwok Heen has only just emerged in recent years but holds a huge network of economic and political contacts in Jiangnin province. The old man was very beautiful when he was alive, Nin Kwok Tan. If in 10 years no one can force Nin Kwok Tan to prosper, then the god of wealth of Jiangnin province can take over the power of Waha. Even the richest person in Asia is the throne. Then the black-haired man concluded that Nin Kwok Thien and Nin Kwok Tan were brothers. Hearing that, the white-haired man was surprised. He shouted that those two people were brothers, Duong Nin, but their last name was Duong. Could it be that Nin Kwok Heen was secretly sneaking around outside? Are you Nin Kwok Heen's son? The leader of the group froze for a moment, sweating profusely, not thinking that the Nin family was rich. Outsiders only think that the Nin family only has 2 cousins. But actually there is another sister, but just 9 years ago she married a guy named Duong. The juniors were also surprised and wondered if the Nin family had 3 siblings. Duong's family. Nin's family is Duong Min's last name? The leader wondered who the man named Duong was, but the juniors still didn't know. Because we don't know, we can't be careful. His identity was faked even though he sought information from the Ministry of National Security. Then asked the leader if he had money immediately, would he be able to clarify his identity? Suddenly the other juniors made the leader flinch. Isn't this man named Duong from the Duong family in Beijing? In Beijing, there are many Yang families. The leader seemed to be panicking in fear and exclaimed. This is also a bit crazy. This time at a villa in Nanhu City. Our male lead is making a phone call while studying in bed. The other end of the line wondered if he was here studying. He nodded. The other end of the line continued. The male lead's mother will visit him, so his younger sister will secretly follow and tell him not to tell on her. But he told me not to come. Just need him to pick up his mother. The other end of the line screamed loudly, wondering why my brother didn't come. He reminded his sister to study and review for the exam. But her younger sister objected that the two of them did not have the same achievements, so there was no need to mention it. Then turn off the computer. The little girl immediately told her mother. The mother kindly smiled and said that when she came to visit, she would help his sister and told her to go study. She immediately obeyed and went to study. At this time, the male lead was sitting on the bed, thinking absent-mindedly. He didn't know what to bring to the competition. Suddenly an item appeared in front of him. With a price of 18,000 points. Even though he said it wasn't cheap, he still bought it. Tin. The item flew out with a strange blue water bottle. He drank without thinking. The male lead meditated for a bit, then tiredly opened his eyes. Then he went to the bookshelf, chose a book and read it. 3 minutes later he closed the book. He said eagerly, 1800 flower points, sister. Seems to be very valuable. He happily looked at the book. Reading speed is 20 times faster. Plus the ability to remember for a long time. This potion of expanded thinking really has a great effect. He couldn't help but shout happily. This exam is no longer difficult for me. Then he looked at the system. How much is my balance left? The system displays 470 points. The male lead was surprised. Is that all there is? The male lead is in pain in his heart. 2 streams of tears flowed. Later, we were helpless just because of this small benefit. The same trading system is the right path. Point. I want points. The male lead then helplessly lies down on the bed. All right. Continue to integrate the king and trump card in the military guide. Then he sank into his own thoughts and fell asleep. The next day, the male lead returned to school. He walked happily. It's been 20 days since school and everything is still the same. It's just a matter of comparing the 2 names from before. I have transformed the heavens and the earth. Now our brain can calculate addition, subtraction, multiplication and division up to 6 digits within 2 seconds. Even if it is a complex problem, it can be solved in at least 10 different ways. Then he chuckled. After only 2 hours of studying. Maybe a month ahead of the best student in the class. Then the male lead was startled when he heard the call. Vong Nin. It turned out to be Chu Tiu Fai. He moved forward. I thought he was hit by a car. That's why I called Mr. A. Do you know that I care about you a lot? Because I heard he had an accident and didn't eat or drink all day. I miss you very much. I've gotten thinner. The male lead looked at him from above and smiled. Skinny? It seems like what you said isn't true at all, right? He stammered. This is just getting thinner without showing it. The male lead then used his hands to pinch his cheeks. Smirked mouth. Europe. At first glance, it felt familiar. Turns out it's human. He approached with a sarcastic voice. Didn't get hit by a car? Ha ha. Walking and standing are still disabled. God really has no eyes. Chu Tiu Fai angrily shouted at him. Vong Kai specializes. Just arrived early and a dog's mouth can't spit out elephants. He still answered plainly. Who talks to you? Zhou Xiaofei. Warning to you. It's okay, don't touch me. Chu Tiu Fai did not hesitate to respond. Then don't mess with Duong Nin anymore. He gritted his teeth. Zhou Xiaofei. Do you want to interfere in the matter between him and me? He refused to lose. So what? What do you want? He smirked and said to him. Vulgar. I said, do you want to hit me? He also said, yes. Then he pointed back and said, I'm so lazy to talk to you. If you want to compare with me today, there's physical education. I heard it was testing my son to run 1 kilometer. After listening, he froze for a moment and then secretly looked at the male lead. Then replied aggressively, compare them together. I have to frown a bit. A little bit of eye contact. You really are a turtle. He still mocks you. Have spirit. I'm here with an win. Compared to you two, the fastest time between both sides is the winner. Ha ha ha, people are waiting. He faltered. Wait. After he left, he covered his face and said in fear, that Win is a gym student. Jianglin University has just recruited the first straight candidates. The male lead happily looked at him. If it's a competition, so you have to bet a little money, right? When he heard it, he turned around. Do you still want to bet? The male lead smirked. What? Are you afraid of losing? He laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha. Because of your stubborn courage. So we are desperate. Loser. You will have to take off your pants and run around the schoolyard 10 times. The male lead also said. Remember what you said. Don't run. He stood beside him worriedly. You don't. You hurt me. How can we run back to him with an win? He cried loudly and told the male lead. The male lead still spoke calmly. Harmful? Up until now, it's not like you caused trouble, but moreover. You and I are suffering together, right? He said lightly. That's also true. But there's no way I'm going to cause a disaster. When did I cause trouble? This is slander. The male lead is still happy. I will give you a helping hand. The male lead then narrates. Last semester 2 stray dogs were in heat outside the school gate. He stoned the 2 dogs and stirred up their good fortune, making them feel hopeless. 2 months ago, he and Von Kai were busy arguing and put 2 mice in the desk drawer. He was so scared that he went to school and cried for ghosts for several days straight. Last month, he snuck into Mr. Chu's room. That afternoon he immediately asked for leave. I heard I was bitten by a dog. He could only laugh. The male lead continued speaking. Right. I heard that Chu cheated on him while driving a motorbike and took snake flower herbs. The male lead was about to continue speaking but he stopped him. Said no. The male lead turned to comfort him. Many people said he was stupid. I don't think you're stupid. But now I feel like you're really stupid. They were all corrected by him so accurately that there wasn't much of a difference. He asked helplessly, do you have any way to deal with Von Kai Choyan and Win? Good prediction. Don't expect anything from me. He knows his personality. Our relationship is so good. Harmful, not just you. Right. He asked. What do you want to do? The male lead said. Oh, ask you. Do you want to fight against Von Kai Choyan? I'll give you a way to get the dragon to run and the tiger to run 1 kilometer. He also asked. How? Something like a stimulant. This will help your body surpass its normal limits. However, he certainly couldn't get out of bed the next day. That is a side effect and of course it can help him win against Von Kai Choyan. No store has this medicine. He thought for a moment. Then happily said. If you give it to me this time, I will risk my life. The male lead put his arm around his shoulder. Don't worry, I'll give it to you after class. After a while, he happily asked the male lead. That's right, you know, recently there was a beautiful girl in our class. The male lead replied cockily. Ha, beauties have been seen a lot these days. Trong said so on the outside, but in the mind of the male lead, he said gloatingly. Ha ha, if he sees the beauties Lam Man Huyan and Lam Tu Tin. Surely this inhuman companion will surely join the Zen party. Then the two of them continued into class. After entering the classroom, the male lead's eyes fell on a girl sitting in the classroom. The male lead suddenly realized. That's the girl I met on the train on the way back. Then the male lead approached her and said. Hello, see you again. The girl happily looked at him and said. Ah, it's you. Are you okay? I really thank you then. He also happily answered. It's none of my business. Von Kai Choyan stood nearby and gritted his teeth. Wasn't he hit by a car? How did he and Tu Veen Veen know each other? The male lead was happily talking at that time. Or if you want to thank me, invite me to a meal or I can invite you back. Von Kai Choyan looked at him and thought sarcastically. It's true that I don't understand the donkey chatter. What are you suggesting? It's just holding urine and spitting it out. Being in charge of what people do is too veen. Why invite someone to dinner with only 2 words? Dream. But instead, Veen happily said that maybe this afternoon I would go to the small store to eat and drink. You don't mind, do you? He said in panic. So you agree? At the same time, Shu Tiu Fai interjected. I go again. While Veen was still hesitating, the male lead put his arm around his shoulder and spoke. This guy turns into dirt and eats less. We don't need to interfere with the part he pays himself. Shu Tiu Fai cursed silently in his heart. This guy immediately changes his personality when he meets a girl. He's truly, son of bitch. He stood from afar now angry. Say, little guy, Duong family, don't forget our competition today. The juniors behind him teased him. Just with the 2 of you. Defeat in just a few minutes. How dare he tease Tri Choyan if he's stupid? It's true that it's not worth anything. He continued talking. Don't speak so honestly. They had just been hit by a car. My mind is no longer alert. Yuan was worried. Ask what the competition is about. At this time, he calmly spoke to her. This guy really doesn't know how to control himself. Want to compete with us? Definitely. Whoever loses will take off their pants and run around the school a few times. At that time, everyone in the class was noisy. How can that fat guy win? With him? Ha 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 ha. Right when he was feeling sad and awkward. Then the teacher walked in. Go back to class and go back to your seat. He sat down and sighed. Think. Sex is the last class of the morning. Let's take advantage of this math class to rest to regain strength. Then he immediately fell asleep. The male lead could only laugh. Then he put the test book on the table and started focusing on doing the test. When he saw it, he felt uncomfortable. Pretending to pretend to be a duck. You've only been at the bottom of the class for 10,000 years, but you always seem to study hard. The teacher passed by and looked at his work for a while, then said, Your student's calculus is a bit complicated. But after looking for a while, he was shocked. Well, the more concise he makes the idea, the more he shortens the calculation. It's impressive for a student with such poor achievements. Is it also possible to make such profound calculations? He continued looking for a while and then kept exclaiming. This algorithm does not appear in high school. Even students in the university's math department cannot come up with this calculation. The male lead had just finished his homework when the teacher smiled at him. Your students did very well. The male lead felt confused. Then the teacher seriously asked the male lead. Can you tell me how you came up with this algorithm? He was exposed to a certain curriculum. The male lead calmly replied at this time. Let me tell you. I just thought of it temporarily. Both of these calculations give the same result, just comparing to save time. The teacher said with a black face. We must force this little guy to speak up. Then he asked again. Students with this type of calculation can only be used by masters. The male lead then immediately started sweating profusely. Saying no, it's not like I've never been exposed to college textbooks. The teacher still finds it hard to believe. Perhaps it was just a temporary thought. At that time, the teacher immediately asked his classmate, What's your name? The little concubine spoke quickly at this time. He is Duong Nin, Professor Lu. Professor Lu approached the male lead. Duong Nin and Vong Chi Chuan had disdainful faces at this time. I don't know how to say it, but it seems like he's making the teachers angry. Professor Lu suddenly praised the male lead. How good are you in mathematics? But I haven't had such good results before. The male lead stammered. Me, it's just that lately I've been interested in studying math. The little concubine now turned to ask the male lead. Do you have any relationship with her? The male lead said calmly. What kind of relationship could it be? Asking anything is so stupid. Can you brainstorm a bit? Then he also spoke. I feel like there's something about you that I can't see through. Right before I followed you because of your personality. If there's anything else, you'll show it right away. I thought you were taken away from me. The male lead teased. Just look at the books and do it. Do you believe in that? It was difficult for him to answer. We hadn't seen each other for half a month, but when we met again, he gave me a bottle of stimulant medicine. It seems like our relationship is not transparent at all. You can also vary the solution to this type of problem. Just this little brother. The male lead smiled sinisterly. Do you want to study? Simple. Go out and find a convenient place. How do you get hit by a car, and if you're lucky you don't meet God? Welcome to your reunion with the aliens. Then, using alien science, he comfortably became a rich, handsome man. He had a black face and a dirty middle finger. Fuck, the male lead is innocent. I tell the truth. After that, he was surrounded by girls. Duong Nin, I just heard that you were praised by Professor Liu. Is this what you do? The male lead laughed happily. And Vong Tri Choyan gritted his teeth. Damn it, keep pretending. After a while, Veen Veen took down his notebook and asked the male lead, Duong Nin, can I ask you to solve this exercise? The male lead blushed and happily said, okay, sit down. Sit down. Vong Tri Choyan is still angry. Wait, this matter is not over yet. At that time, I will make Tu Veen Veen know that you are nothing more than a lowly person. A long time later, Ms. Tran Hai came to the classroom and said, Students, this class is English class, please sit down. After a while of stability, Tiu Fai turned to the male lead and whispered, Ms. Tran Hai is here. Look how sexy she is dressed today. The male lead didn't care and just sat there reading the book attentively. When he saw it, he was surprised. No, how could he be so calm? Has this guy changed his personality? The beauty in front of him isn't moved. Is he still a man? The male protagonist sitting in the middle of the information boards said that learning a foreign language well is very important, even ignoring factors such as exams or tests. But foreign languages are considered extremely useful life skills. Seeing Lam Tu Tin being able to use English to converse with others so fluently is a bit admiring at this time. The system displays a permission to merge the mother tongue with the memory. The male lead thought thoughtfully and said, now that I've found it, I only have 470 points left. This morning I had to use 10 points to exchange for medicine that stimulates the fat guy's athletic potential. If you add merging your mother tongue with your memories, there really isn't much left. But this is extremely necessary. He was able to merge his mother tongue with the memories that the male protagonist used later. When he woke up, Tiu Fai also hit him. Hey, what are you confused about? While he didn't know what was going on, everyone in the class laughed loudly. As soon as he regained consciousness, he discovered that the teacher was standing in front of him and asking. Listen clearly, for a country, the university entrance exam is a right or wrong thing. The male lead quickly replied, in my opinion, the university entrance exam is a door that must be passed to enter university. The teacher said in a serious voice, this way of thinking of yours is indeed very extreme. I must change this wrong mindset of yours. You need to know how to take the college entrance exam well, so you can find a good job. The male lead didn't care and immediately answered her. But with such an educational method, in the eyes of foreigners, it is extremely ridiculous. Students go to school purely for test scores, but the knowledge they learn once they enter society is completely useless. She angrily slapped the table and said, what is useless? She asked me if I had ever seriously studied. If you don't make an effort when you're young, you'll regret it when you're old. Then she said, haven't you ever thought about the gratitude your parents gave you for raising you? The male lead was a bit annoyed and replied, I don't need you to worry about my family matters. The teacher was now serious and less talkative in front of her. Invited your parents to go to school. Just in time I had a few words to say to your parents. The male lead couldn't keep calm and said, she asked me if the university entrance exam was right or wrong. So I'm just saying it honestly, if I don't like it then I just don't say it. If you still want to talk, find someone else to talk to you about. The teacher continued to speak, she just asked me to translate what she said. Then the two were suddenly startled. The male lead realized something was wrong. Damn it, from beginning to end, Ms. Tran Hai and I both used English to talk. There was a teacher looking in from the outside. Veen Veen asked in confusion, Teacher, what were you discussing with classmate Duong just now? We didn't really understand. Uncle Tiu Fai cried and praised him. Brother Hai, you are truly my biological brother. The farthest distance in this world is not me in the sky. You are on the ground, but when we are so close, but I don't understand what you are saying. Duong Nin just made an unpleasant face and told him to go aside. his classmates continued to praise him. They said that he was not only good at math but also excellent at English. I couldn't understand even a single sentence that he and she said. You are truly a blessing. A man standing next to Tri Choyan said, I feel like this guy named Dwang got into a car crash after he got into a car crash. He seems to have become smarter. Did he get angry and yell at you? Are you jealous? Or just leave? Find a car and hit it. The teacher outside the classroom heard it, so he called the principal. Ms. Tran was surprised by the male lead's foreign language talent. She thought, Dwang Nin's pronunciation was even more accurate than hers. If Dwang Nin wasn't the student I guided for 2 years, I would have really thought she was an overseas Chinese who had lived abroad since childhood. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. The teacher who was standing outside earlier left and told Ms. Tran to bother her a bit. I finished talking about this and left immediately. He just became popular. Next week our school will hold the final mock exam. We hope that the students will pay attention to their studies after returning home. Scene changes to the teacher's office, Dwang Nin and Ms. Tran. She said that with your performance today, I am sure that my class will not be difficult for you. But I really don't understand, this semester, after 5 mock exams, why did I never get more than 50 points? Give her a reason, he replied. If I said that I recently became interested in foreign languages, would you believe me? She blushed thinking it was the first time she saw Dwang Nin so close. Unexpectedly, this boy is also handsome and has a beautiful body. Did she really look like that before? What am I thinking? She shook her head and said my pronunciation was perfect. Very similar to your voice. Have you ever lived abroad? Did you just say it? Dwang Nin replied that he watched a lot, listened to a lot, and talked a lot. Watch American movies, British movies and words from those movies. You can hear many dialects of each region. Later, while others were memorizing vocabulary, I memorized the lines from the movie. Hearing that, she suspected there must be another reason, but he refused to say it. Then she gave up and told him to leave. The scene changes to the schoolyard. Chu Tiu Fai and Dwang Nin move out to the yard. Tiu Fai asked Mr. Tran if the beautiful woman didn't cause him any trouble, so he said no. Tiu Fai continued to wonder, so why did she drag him to the office? He told him to stop talking. After speaking, he pulled out a bottle of medicine and said that this is the medicine that can make him run extremely fast. Although this medicine has no side effects, it will have a very strong effect on the body. If you can't get out of bed on the second day, don't be angry with me. Tiu Fai excitedly took the medicine and said it wasn't just that she couldn't get out of bed. After speaking, he swallowed the entire bottle of medicine. Dwang Nin looked at him and clapped his hands, saying he had a very masculine spirit. After drinking it, he asked if there was any special feeling. Tiu Fai said no. Then suddenly his face changed color. Dwang Nin worriedly asked what was wrong. If there's something uncomfortable, it's best to say it out loud. Tiu Fai breathed a sigh of relief and said this isn't bad. Where did you get it? Now my whole body has energy, especially in my feet. It feels light. When the male lead asked that, did he feel it? He replied of course, people who are as heavy as us will be extremely heavier when walking than skinny people like you. Let me be the one. Clearly feel the feeling of lightness. The male lead patted his back and told him that his life was really hard. Tiu Fai said that he had just lived a hard life. His whole family lived a hard life. Then the gym teacher whistled to tell them to assemble. Dwang Nin took off his jacket, revealing his solid body. The girls blushed and shouted wow. Then the teacher saw it and said why didn't he notice that my body was so hard before? Also about to graduate, so let me see the truth. Rotten boy. Don't be good and fake. Dwang Nin could only laugh. Then someone saw him coming to the front row and said where can you stand? Even a short guy like you can be at the front of the line. Then the male lead walked up to him. Seeing the obvious height gap, he panicked and thought that he remembered Dwang Nin's health check last month. Wasn't he only 1.73 meters? Maybe stimulate growth hormones? How can it be so high within a month? Then Dwang Nin provoked him and said hey you short guy. Been babbling all this time. Confused, what do you want to say? He looked down at his shoes and said it wasn't right. Shameless thing. You dare pad your shoes. Correct. You absolutely have padded shoes. After speaking, he turned to the gym teacher and told Mr. Go. Teacher, look at him. The teacher was confused and asked why. He continued, Teacher, I don't think it's strange that he's so tall. Teacher Go walked over to him and smiled and said that his muscles were also very strong. Have you recently gone through puberty again? I said it sure is. After being hit by a car, the bones grow a little. He heard that and immediately said to Mr. Go. He said his bones are growing. How can you believe such words? That's padded, teacher. What he did was cheating. The teacher just said the shoe sole is 7 centimeters. The top is 6 centimeters thick. In the immediate future are the data of the majority of sports products sold on the market. This pair is 13 centimeters thick. They have to pad it at least 10 centimeters. Is this just to make you a few centimeters taller? But how can you carry it so thick? He immediately blushed as he said this. Tiu Fai giggled when she heard him and said he thought girls were wearing high heels. How tall do you want to be? Teacher Wu said it was okay. You guys should warm up first. Later we will check out long-distance running for men. Tiu Fai came out and told the teacher that Mr. Go, you and them had a competition. Or maybe you can be our referee. What do you think, teacher? Did you hear that you told me to run long distances? Before, every time I heard about long-distance running, you ran away the fastest in the group. Why did you change your mind today? Tiu Fai giggled and said it was different today. Teacher Go. Before, I hid my profession because I was afraid it would hurt some people's self-esteem. When Mr. Go heard that, he asked, what else could anyone want? Duong Nin and Tri Choyan told me in unison. Teacher Go received the information and spoke. So the 4 of you check first according to your rules. Whoever has the shortest total time is considered the winner. Then the 4 of them went to the starting line and took their stance. Teacher Go said to prepare. Begin. Gunfire rang out. Tiu Fai ran for her life to get ahead of Tri Choyan. When he saw it, he was surprised and thought it was funny. Why does it run so fast? The classmates looking in from the outside were also surprised. How can that fat guy run so fast? On Duong Nin's side, he and the other 2 girls still keep the same. He said, why don't you run away? He said the enemy did not run. Neither do I. Duong Nin suggested that we should wait until these 2 people run to the line and then we can run. He accepted your offer. Scene changes to Tiu Fai's side. A classmate said, look at that. That fat guy is already 100 meters ahead. The 2-haired guy turned pale when he saw it, wondering how that was possible. I didn't expect him to not run after that 160-pound fat guy. The crowd cheered Tri Choyan to try harder. Tri Choyan's face turned pale. Zhou Xiaofei, don't you run away. Tiu Fai heard him and ran upstairs. He and Teacher Go looked bewildered. The scene changed to the male protagonist. When An Win saw the other 2 guys coming, he said it was our turn. Tiu Fai said don't run. Let me get over you. Despite what he said, he still ran. Duong Nin waited for Tri Choyan to approach him. It was really slow. The buffalo can still catch up with you. He got angry and said you don't dare to fight with An Win. But you still have the face to laugh at me here. Teacher Go was also confused and asked if you guys were going to run or not. Duong Nin replied that of course he ran away. I'm just waiting for him to give him a round. When Tri Choyan heard him, he said he was a liar. If it's delicious then you've already passed before I finished speaking. He jumped calmly. Teacher Go stood outside surprised when he ran like the wind. Then he suddenly ran past the 3 of them. Finally he reached his destination. Spread your arms out. Tiu Fai looked at this and thought. The farthest distance in this world is not you in the sky. I'm on the ground, but we've been in the same school for 2 years. Like I don't understand you. Duong Nin ran to the finish line. Everyone standing nearby, as well as Mr. Go, opened their mouths and said, World record, world record. A new world record has been born. Immediately the principal and the Minister of Education both came out. Teacher Go gasped when he saw the silhouettes of the 2 of them. The principal and the Minister of Education watched Duong Nin run. The 2 said, look quickly. She's about to cross the running line. Mr. Go clocked 1 minute 33 seconds 18. He broke the record again. The principal turned around and asked Mr. Go what the record for the 800 meters category was. Then he surprisingly said that the last 200 meters was almost to the finish line. Let us witness the miracle together. The classmates cheered for the male lead. Then when he reached the finish line, Mr. Go immediately announced the time as 2 minutes 2 seconds 28. The principal immediately asked what the world record was. Teacher Go replied that the world record was 2 minutes 11 seconds 96. My hands and feet were so frantic that in one day, I could break 3 world records in a row. Who dares to say that our country's health is not as good as foreign countries? I promise I won't hit him. Then he calmed down and asked this classmate to come here for a moment. As I think, maybe this high school will become famous throughout the country and the world because of you. Duong Nin and the 2 girls clung to the compliment to get to where Tiu Fai talked about the world record. Tiu Fai immediately said yes. You broke 3 records in a row. World record for 400 meters short distance running. There are also 800 meters and 1000 meters distances. Hearing that, he suddenly thought about continuously breaking records. Is it still a world record? I really didn't mean it. Suddenly, a male student shouted loudly, pointing at Duong Nin and saying that he was the prodigy who used money on people's faces at Nam Ho restaurant a few days ago. Then the crowd was surprised. Each compliment, surprise, admiration and desire to be his girlfriend was raised. The 2 girls standing next to the male lead were still arguing with each other. You money-hungry thing. You must be greedy for other people's money, right? Is that what I am? You dare say you don't have this thought. Or not? Then suddenly a beautiful girl passed by and said, Boss, let's become friends. The crowd was surprised and excited to say that the beautiful lady Chao Thin of Nam Ho Tam Trung was the object of every boy's fantasy. She rarely takes the initiative to talk to guys anymore, even though she has already received hundreds of thousands of love letters. Duong Nin shook her hand and said, Hello. I think her eyes are filled with affection, without any infatuation, lust, or lust. Chao Thin thought she would be taken advantage of, but she didn't expect this senior to do so. The male lead continued, Do you really want to be friends with me? She immediately replied, You don't deserve it? He then said, Of course not, it's just that being loved like that is a bit scary, being able to make friends with such a beautiful girl. Who would dare refuse? She then replied that the school principal really knew how to joke. Actually, I came here to find you for something, Chao Thin said. Homeroom teacher Le of the first year 7th grade has a child with leukemia. Chemotherapy and hospital fees for half a year have used up all the savings in the house. And I'm the student president this term, so this time I want to ask the student president to help Ms. Le overcome this situation. Duong Nin wondered if this was the case. Tiu Fai answered correctly. I even donated 10 yuan. Duong Nin sarcastically said it was only 10 yuan. Tiu Fai just waved her hand and told me I was actually planning on taking more money to donate there. Then he asked how much more he planned to donate. Tiu Fai was angry and said to Duong Nin, You're doing it on purpose. This 500 is because I still have to worry about my pleasures and enjoyment. Then you asked, Do you donate a lot? 500 stars. Duong Nin replied that if you donated 500, I could not be worse than you. So please donate 50,000. Everyone was surprised. Shout out 50,000 stars. Tiu Fai stood next to her, wondering how much. Chao Thin asked the school principal and said he wanted to donate 50,000 stars. Duong Nin calmly said what everyone's eyes meant. Is it true that 50,000 is less? So please donate 100,000 first. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd stood still, as if listening and listening. Duong Nin brought out his phone and told me his account number. Now you transfer the money. Chao Thin hesitated and told the principal to wait. The male lead wondered if the girls only accepted cash. She just said no. Senior, we don't dare to accept such a large amount of money. Or you can personally give it to Ms. Le. He replied, but he's been a bit busy lately. I still have to do my homework. Just hacking the game takes a lot of time. Then he grabbed Tiu Fai's shoulder and told him so. Let him go instead of you. I'll take him to find Ms. Le. Tiu Fai blushed and said no problem. In the afternoon I still have a conference. Or gather at school tomorrow morning. Everyone goes to visit together. When Tiu Fai heard that, she was disappointed and asked if there was anyone else. Scene change. Mr. Go is instructing his classmates. At the end of class, the teacher told the students to disperse. Class is over. Dwang Nin, come over here with me for a bit. Then the teacher grabbed the male lead's shoulder. Seeing that, how can I say that? That guy is as normal as a piece of trash. Math genius. English master. Sports master. Sir, I'm sure there's only a shortage of wealth left. What's so good about these things? After speaking, Tu Fai called him Hey. Do you remember the deal we made in the beginning? The loser has to take off their pants and run around the schoolyard. Why do you want to cheat? After speaking, the professional's face turned pale. When Anwin heard that, he said that this extreme fishing event has nothing to do with me. I originally didn't want to participate in this competition. Teacher Anwin ran away and told Anwin you. Then he got angry and said let's have another match. Practice test next week. We will compare achievements. Tu Fai just said that I really don't dare to fight. I'm always number one from the bottom up. Asking me to compete with you on achievements is truly shameless. Dwang Min soon knew that you would betray him. There will also be a question of competing on achievements, so he said that if you really don't need such dignity, then he will fight with you. After hearing this, the crowd burst into laughter. Chi Chuan looked away and said so. This time I will win for sure. Tu Fai heard that and immediately cursed him and called him a coward. At the office, your kid's not bad. What's your name? Aurora. That teenage hero broke 3 powerful world records at once. Thank you teacher for your compliment. Who is this person? Even Principal Vong and Minister Trong are very respectful towards him. The principals of your class do not match the candidate's requirements. All aspects must be better. If you just nod, you will directly become a student at a famous university. Teacher Duang just called John Nin University. If I agreed, the teacher immediately registered me as a special candidate. Can you let me think for a few days? After all, it is the big story of a person's life. Of course it needs to be thought carefully. Next let's go eat. Yes, thank you for your good intentions. But now I'm busy. Tu My Nu agreed to invite me to dinner. I don't want to eat with the old men. Secret mission someone likes you. This mission was suddenly completed and disappeared, and it was also a secret mission with an extremely meaningful historical milestone. Do you really have money? 9,000. You look wrong, there aren't that many zeros. It's only 900,000, I told you you were wrong. More than 900,000 is also called a lot, Dad. Tell me the truth and tell me whether this money was stolen or not. Here is 100,000 yuan, please send it to Ms. I know I will definitely send it to you. It's not like I'll give it to you later. Asking someone to give it to you is more reassuring than asking you to give it. So let's go, I said I'd invite you to dinner today. Chao Thien also went. Okay, hey wait for me. Just let them be proud for a bit and wait until next week Kai Choyan. I will definitely destroy it. You should still be a little careful, this guy is very sinister. It is recognized that the name Wang Min, who has always been at a low rank, suddenly became a scholar and even broke a world record. Along with Little Africa, Anwin was also cancelled as a special candidate to Jiangning University. If my brain wasn't still awake, I'd actually think I was dreaming. You go tell them tonight's date is cancelled. I have to rush to study for the mock exam next week. I have to rely on my own strength to regain the glory that belongs to me. At a restaurant, the staff warmly said it was okay to eat. There are still rooms available. There are only 3 people, right? Chao Thien grew up to be 4 people. Yes, this is also considered a person. Duang Nin smiled and said. Even though it was said that Tu Vien Vien was hosting, in the end it was definitely you who paid. This is obvious. How can I let my daughter pay? So I won't be polite. Duang Nin glared and said you should be careful with me. After all the dishes were served, it seemed delicious. Chao Thien and Tu Vien Vien have been gone for so long. Duang Nin stood up and said let me go outside and take a look. I go with you. Get out of the way, what do you want to do? Tu Vien Vien and Chao Thien were stopped by a group of thugs. Beauty, don't be impatient and drink a few drinks with us. Just say how much money you want. I didn't go away and Tu Vien Vien shouted loudly. Our leaders see you too as your blessings. Later, if you're not careful, I'll sell you two to a nightclub. Tu Veen Veen shouted loudly to save his life. Calling for help is ridiculous. Don't you two know whose hometown this whole road is? Suddenly a man walked in. Headmaster Lu, these two girls don't understand what's going on. I'm teaching them a little, otherwise it wouldn't be good to act like a princess and make Minister Chung angry. The man waved his hand like that. Hurry up. Come on. Innocent. He. Luckily the medicine hasn't worn off yet. I was wondering why you two were gone for so long. It turns out you encountered a hooligan. They kept blocking us here and even stole our phones so they wouldn't notify you two. Maybe they changed the date and invited me to dinner. Where did you guys come from? Come on, hit it hard. The thugs rushed forward with the intention of attacking, but Duong Nin used several moves to defeat them. The leader was scared and sweating. Are you a soldier? Duong Nin replied that he was a student. I don't care if you were a soldier or actually a student, but if you dare to hit my man, you will surely die today. Surround him and don't let him run away. A Kian called someone to come and say that his son was beaten by someone. What should Duong Nin do? You protect them, leave the rest to me. Duong Nin secretly thought that at the right time, he could check the results of merging with the normal King Card Soldier training manual, but he really couldn't find anyone to practice with. Earth Dragon, be careful, he wants to attack you. You're also powerful, I'm not your opponent, but the boss's people are coming, don't you dare leave this door. I'm really scared. After speaking, Duong Nin rushed over and punched him repeatedly. He lay on the ground in pain. Oh my bones and joints. Everyone was really surprised at the cattle. Why hasn't anyone come in yet? Tiu Lu called Minister Tran in charge of this area and asked them to come here to handle it. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to make phone calls? Hello, are you having dinner with Mayor Lee? I'm being slandered by a homeroom teacher, saying that your son gathers to fight. The thugs are surprised. Huh, who is his father to eat with the mayor? Uncle Luke, this is Tiu Duong, that's right. I just came back yesterday. I'm living very well in Wahai. Just a little conflict. Minister Chung, what? Call Secretary True of the Political and Legal Committee? Ask Mayor Ha to come over here once. The thugs were completely shocked. Political and Legal Committee, Mayor Ha, who is that person? The person on the phone line answered, don't worry, kid, in Nam Ho. As long as you don't kill people, there's nothing Luke Kwok Huan can't solve. That's right, it is indeed Luke Kwok Huan's voice. This person owns all of Black White in Nam Ho City. Don't bother Luke Tien Sin, just let me handle this. Tu Veen Veen called out Dad. Duong Nin was surprised and asked Dad? Ask old Ha to come over here for a visit. Yes, Mayor Ha, I'm Tiu Vu. Secretary Tu invited you to Lu Ti's restaurant. Now Secretary Tu is very angry. Duong Nin secretly thought it was Tu Diu Bok, Secretary Tu? Tu Diu Bok patted Duong Nin's shoulder and thanked you, young friend, you saved my daughter again. Duong Nin replied that it was just a small matter. It's true that not only is health good, but turmeric is also not bad. What exactly is this guy's background? How can anyone talk like that? The thugs were so startled that they were sweating profusely. Young people like you who act for good deeds should be commended by the school. Yes, definitely commended. Please stop praising me. Duong Nin secretly thought that people afraid of being famous are like pigs afraid of getting fat. If you play that big, it's not necessarily a blessing, but it could also be a disaster. Why is there no need to praise? Duong Nin stammered and said because he had to take the university entrance exam right now, so he didn't want to put too much pressure on himself, so he could just yell like that. Okay then, I respect your decision, but this will still be credited to you. Until then, remember to add it to your profile. I heard that I also donated 100,000 to the teacher at school to help. Secretary 2, this matter is due to my negligence. After returning, I will definitely strengthen supervision of this matter. Next Monday, I will invite those in charge of primary schools and secondary schools to the Ministry of Education to organize a conference to encourage everyone to contribute together. Secretary 2 immediately nodded, and suddenly there was a voice. Duong Nin asked, why did your father come here? I had just said that Secretary 2 was here when he immediately ran here. My son didn't understand what was going on and caused trouble to Secretary 2. I didn't expect you to be the daughter of the city party secretary. The young lady doesn't have a bit of temperament, it's really rare. Tu Veen Veen shyly said, it's not what you think. Before that I was always by my mother's side. Does that mean your father and mother have always lived separately? It's all just family matters, nothing worth hearing. Xiao Thien secretly thought to herself. Chu Tiu Phi's father, Tu Veen Veen's father, and there was someone on Duong Nin's phone who she didn't know. What background did these people have? The next day, it was very difficult for high school students to have Saturday and Sunday off, but they definitely had to go out today. Today I have to thank Luke Kwok Huan. After all, I asked people to come forward for help yesterday. If I didn't show anything at all, it would be a bit strange. Hee, no one recognized me. Fong, the 3 storms have finally passed. Suddenly the phone rang. Duong Nin immediately picked up the phone. There was a voice on the other end of the line. Boy, don't you recognize me? Didn't you give me your stall last time? I also ordered a large amount of wooden handicrafts. Yes, besides those items, is there anything else? Hong's father in the village asked me to sell some antiques. I'll give them to you to see. Yes, we'll meet later at 2 Hop D Street. I'm also waiting. Everyone didn't recognize me, although old Chow still recognized me, but I didn't want to cause any more unnecessary trouble. Duong 2 Hop, my boy is here. Yes, Master Chow. Is there any good food today? Duong Nin secretly thought about opening the Supreme system. No, the upgrade system is completed after 48 hours. Why didn't I remember to check this? Then what now? How are you, little boy? Hey, suddenly Duong Nin saw a glowing box. Oh, it seems the leveling up system still doesn't affect the use of the inspection eye. Master Chow asked him if he liked any of them. Duong Nin secretly thought that the source of that green color was not the items in this box, but the box itself. This box seems to have a bit of an ancient style, but it is absolutely not related to antiques. Master Chow, where did this box come from? What do you mean by this box? It's very old. Since I started to understand, it's already been there. It seems like it was left by my grandfather. Lao Chow is an honest person. He won't play any tricks. If he bids a high price to buy this box from him, he definitely won't sell it, but if it's smuggled like last time, then my conscience will be a bit uneasy. Rest in peace. Did Master Chow encounter any difficulties? Lao Chow sighed. So how long is that rough road? Does the Lu family have any sights that attract people? Less than 10 miles away, there is a clean and pure mountain. The rest are all mountains. If that road wasn't too difficult to travel, people in the village could grow some fruits in the mountains, and also earn a lot of money. Duong Nin told Master Chow, please tell me the road in the village. If you can't fix that road, it will take several tens of thousands to fix it. Money is not important, as long as it is within 200,000, I believe it can be done. Little boy, you help our village, what are your intentions? If you say it's charity, I'm afraid you won't believe it. Actually, I feel like I'm also free. Maybe I spend money to fix the road while you plant trees and fruits. If there is money in the future, everyone will share it. Master Chow gratefully said that if it is true, then you are a great benefactor of the Lu family. Lao Chow, I have to kneel down and thank him. Master Chow doesn't need to do that. At the bank, the password is 6 digits 6. Give me your card first. In a few days I will contact the road construction team to resolve this matter. Thank you, boy. You can rest assured that you will call later. Whatever I plant, our ancestors will plant it. We all listen to you. Wait until the road is repaired, then let's talk about it again. So you agreed to fix the road for them? Kid, 1 kilometer of cement road is at least 180,000. Spending so much money this time, you have harvested quite a lot. You have never harvested so many treasures. Mr. Chow is an honest person. After checking his belongings, he felt uncomfortable in his heart, so he agreed to repair the road to help their village. You know, Old Feng and Old True are about to praise you to the heavens, and even Old Two praises you endlessly. As for Mr. Man, it goes without saying, he wishes he couldn't raise his niece to marry you. That's right. I heard that you are interested in jadeite and primordial stones? That's normal. As for normal things, the Emperor Green was also cut off by you. Tomorrow there will be a big protector of jadeite. Will you come with me? Pour the stone? Well, I don't know anything about primordial stones, but after hearing your story, I have already decided in my heart that day. Do you have time tomorrow? Dwang-nin answered of course yes. Uncle Luke opened his mouth. Even if he was busy, he could put that aside. Dwang-nin hesitated to continue speaking, but still about Lu Ho. That's just a small character, I'm still investigating the person behind the instructions. Lao Luke replied. Dwang-nin said something that surprised Lao Luke and released Lu Ho. He then explained, after all, a minor character is still a minor character. Our goal is to find the real killer. I don't feel that this was done by Miss Lam's driver. He thought the killer might be a girl. Hearing that, Luke immediately asked why he thought that. He explained that the other person didn't seem to care about Miss Lam's safety, and just wanted to destroy Miss Lam. As for Lu Ho, he had no experience in kidnapping. From beginning to end, it was all about showing off his power. He guessed it was probably due to jealousy. Mr. Luke immediately said it made a lot of sense. Then he confidently said that soon we will know who is behind it. The next day, he and Mr. Luke went to the same place. He told him that many of his competitors in the market were coming today. He didn't want to be made a laughing stock. He confidently said that he should just wait. Mr. Luke immediately shouted angrily at Tran Vin Mr. Giam. Seeing that Mr. Luke was angry, he immediately advised him not to talk to him anymore lest he get unlucky. He said he saw his seal was black today. Maybe he will go bankrupt. Hearing that, Tran Vin got angry and asked which of his eyes saw that his face was black. Seeing his face like that, he immediately said it wasn't black. Why was it so black that it turned purple? Hearing him say that, he immediately became angry. Seeing the two of them happy, Tran Vin got angry and threatened the two of them to wait. Mr. Luke told him to be careful with him because he was an example of a despicable person. He continued, he also missed his subordinates like him, but his work never left a trace, and he had many stains that made him feel humiliated. Hearing him say that, he immediately said so, it can prove that he is an honest person, and once he has done it, he is not afraid of others knowing. Hearing that, he immediately praised him for what happened today thanks to him. Otherwise he would have held his stomach in anger. From afar there was a voice, Dad, it was that rotten brat. It turned out to be Chow Hok Ban and his dad. He immediately turned around and asked if it wasn't the obscure guy Chow Hok Ban. Seeing him, he immediately said that it was a coincidence that he met him here. He just arrogantly said that he didn't expect to meet him. The atmosphere between Mr. Luke and Mr. Chow was filled with murderous intent. Everyone was scared by that atmosphere. From afar, a person greeted Mr. Luke. The person who came forward was Nok Tu. Seeing him, hearing him say that, Mr. Luke immediately said that he was not a good person, and that he would be willing to disappoint Lam T. He just smiled and said that in the marketplace there are countless people who change jobs. It can't be said that it's disloyal, nor is it betrayal, just a change in the working environment. Then he greeted Mr. Luke and said he would talk later, he had something to do right now. He immediately got angry and said but, it feels like drawing a snake with extra legs to prepare to sabotage the chess match. Meanwhile, he happily talked to Mr. Chow. When he asked, Mr. Chow looked very angry. Chow Hao Ban immediately replied that the male lead was the one who tricked his father's 7 primeval stones. Nok Tu put down his glass of wine and said that no matter what happened from now on, he would try to do well to help Trong Duong Group increase profits. He doesn't really understand rough jadeite, but once Trong Duong Group decides to invest in the gemstone industry, it will have to make a name for itself. Then he said that if the male lead was so powerful, it would be better for the two of them to pay a little attention. Mr. In the room, Mr. Tran angrily scolded him and Mr. Luke. Old Ta saw this and immediately told him not to be angry. Mr. Luke did not understand at all about pouring jelly, asked Mr. Tran if he understood what he meant. At the hotel exhibition, Mr. Luke looked at the stone and asked him how to know if there was magic inside or not. Hearing his question, he immediately said that whether this stone was magical or not, we had to see from the outside. While pointing at the stone, he sniffed his nose confidently and said that if you look at its lines, you will see that the face facing east follows the law of the sun rising in the east full of vitality, welcoming the new and washing away the old, showing signs of good omen, so this stone will produce green. When everyone heard him say that, they burst out laughing and asked if he was crazy. At his brother's words, Mr. Luke was surprised and asked if there would be green inside. He immediately said that at least on the outside it showed that it was true. If you cut it out, you will know whether it is true or not. Immediately someone shouted and spoke ambiguously. They angrily asked him if he used his feng shui knowledge to pour jelly so that they were all idiots. Those two people said that when you are young, you should learn a lot from your predecessors. Don't just understand a little and you won't know how high the heavens and the earth are. That's nonsense. They told him to observe more and talk less. Hearing that, he asked the two people if this stone was not poisonous. He thought he knew that his analysis was haphazard, but he told Mr. Hearing that he happily asked them if we should try playing. One of them asked how to play. He immediately said, "Cut it out. If these two stones do not come out green or only one stone comes out green, then I will give you 1 million. But what if those two stones come out green?" He replied that he also lost 100,000 for you. He secretly thought that the primeval stone with the highest probability of producing green had been moved to another place. So how could it be here? When he heard what he said, he immediately praised him for really knowing how to play, not to mention whether it would produce green or not. Even if one stone has a 6, he will give up. Hearing that, he immediately said that if he lost, he would give him 500,000, but he said it was a bit small. But no matter how small the nose was, it was still a loss. That was the decision. He asked, what if he lost and turned away? He immediately told me that he would turn his back on me. Don't look down on others. I'm worried you won't admit defeat. Seeing the bet between the two of them, Mr. Chu Haobin and his son approached him and proudly said that those two stones could not be found at all. His father commented that it was difficult to say. Hearing that, he was surprised and asked that day if it wasn't just a dog yawning and catching a fly. Did his father say he had the ability to scold him? His father was so angry that the dog yawned at a fly. Why didn't he see him yawn at a fly once? If he was lucky just once, he could return home to retire. Seeing his bet, many people talked about 100 million if placed on the shoulders of ordinary people. It would take 10 to 20 years to earn it. They commented that today's youth are so hasty and said that he looked like he knew right away that he didn't understand. Poor Jelly. The man who had a bet with him told him to cut it off. He proudly said that as soon as he arrived at the door, someone gave him money. Although 100,000 is not much, it is enough to exchange for a good car. Hearing him say that, he immediately asked if 100,000 could be used to change a good car. He turned around and asked why. Then he immediately asked him what brand of car could he buy with 100 million. The bosses here all have assets of several hundred million yuan. 100,000 is probably not enough to play 3 cards an evening. Hearing his words made everyone laugh in his face. He then asked if he was still driving a few 100,000. He was angry but then said he was a frugal person. He said he had never made money. He didn't know how hard it was to make money. It was easier to keep his assets when he lost his job. Listen to him say, so you say frugal is frugal, poor is poor. Don't try to save face. Is 1 million in the car already good? Then he said that today he came here in Mr. Luke's car, which was a Rolls-Royce. At his brother's words, he was surprised. Seeing that, he immediately teased him. Even Rolls-Royce didn't know it. No wonder a car worth 1 million was already very good in his eyes. He said, looking at his demeanor a few streets away from Mr. Then he said that there are people who wear Maybach and are afraid of losing their class. Yet there are people with 1 million who are as arrogant as me and have blackjack in their hands. Behind him, Mr. Luke clapped his hands and praised him for cursing well. He got angry first.